Chapter 1275. Even though he had already recognized the inheritance space, Luo Feng still had many questions about the tomb boat and the inheritance space. Hence, he immediately used his god energy to wrap around the memory stone, following which large amounts of information were transmitted over. This was the detailed information left behind by Duan Dong River's consciousness before it dissipated. It told Luo Feng about the many functions and things to take note of. He also told Luo Feng about his modifications to the tomb boat, even the control core of the tomb boat. How to control it was all told. The third-generation ancestors' preparations are too detailed, Luo Feng exclaimed. The entire inheritance space, about 95% of it, is the third-generation ancestors' achievements. The other 5% are the functions added by the previous inheritors. This makes the inheritance space a perfect place to nurture the strong, Luo Feng exclaimed. It was too detailed. If not for the information left behind by Duan Dong River, even though he recognized the inheritance space, he would probably have to wander around and research before he could understand everything. However, now, everything was under his control. The inheritance space was basically like a small universe, separated into many independent spaces. There was something like a super library, which was the information within the sea of memory stones. Almost all of the ancient civilization's most basic techniques, etc., were recorded, along with countless precious experiences that lead directly to the peak. The experiences of the previous inheritors, along with the countless precious information they collected. There was something like a specialized training space, a small virtual space. Inside, there were many opponents, a total of 282, including the previous Duan Dong River. Consciousness could enter the virtual space and spar with them. These virtual opponents could unleash the power of the previous absolute warriors, the strongest of which was naturally the third-generation ancestor. There was something like a specialized place to create techniques. There was a specialized place to nurture one's own weapon. There was a specialized place to train. There was a specialized place. Anyway, the entire inheritance space was a place for the inheritors to constantly replenish themselves. It was a perfect place to nurture the strong. This is too extravagant. Luo Feng blinked. Before accepting the inheritance, he had many imaginations. However, after actually touching it, he realized that his imagination wasn't enough. He had underestimated Duan Dong River's inheritors. This was an extremely extravagant inheritance space. Not becoming an absolute warrior was a very small probability. Of course, it was just a matter of time. In addition, the East Duandong River lineage had very strict requirements for the selection of inheritors. To be selected, one's talent, perseverance, and many other aspects were absolutely top-notch. Even without the inheritance, one's future achievements would not be small. However, with the assistance of this inheritance space, it was like adding wings to a tiger. Naturally, he would be able to walk even higher. In the cosmic sea, there are some inheritances that have been fought to the death, especially the holy-eyed race's so-called joint attack technique. It's just a very ordinary part of the ancient civilization. Regarding all sorts of minor details, even soul attacks, illusory techniques, refining supreme treasures, manufacturing and controlling machines, there are simply too many to count, Luo Feng exclaimed. It was equivalent to him grasping the foundation of a powerful ancient civilization. However, to the East Duan River lineage, these foundations and the information within the hundreds of millions of memory stones were all minor details. They were all things that could be freely spread outside of the East Duan River lineage. Knowledge is power. Countless warriors' experiences, countless training schools' theories, all of them were created by countless warriors advancing wave upon wave. This is the most fundamental. The first thing Luo Feng did was also something all the previous generations of Duan Dong he had done. That was to memorize all of the memory stones. Even if he didn't walk those schools, it would still be helpful to his own training. Or if he met an opponent from that school in a real battle, he would be able to learn some details, strengths, weaknesses, etc. Come. Luo Feng waved his hand. Immediately, large amounts of black stones floated in mid-air, over 100 million of them. Categorize them. Luo Feng divided countless amounts of God energy and simultaneously touched all of the memory stones. He began to process the information at the same time and began to categorize them. Countless memory stones began to categorize. First categorize and then memorize. Luo Feng spent close to 15 days in the 10,000 times training space to memorize everything about the core inheritance. The actual time spent was a few hundred years. After which he began an even larger task, memorizing over 100 million memory stones. Over 100 million memory stones. Every one of them was a basic part, hence the amount of information was far from the core inheritance. However, he still spent close to 30 years to completely memorize them. In reality, it was 30 years. After completely memorizing them, Luo Feng began to carefully study them. The time spent on this was much longer than just memorizing them. Before, he just forcefully shoved countless books into his brain. Now he slowly flipped through them. The tomb boat still floated in mid-air within the ice-fire region. The cabin door closed. Occasionally, there would be warriors passing by, glancing at it with envy. However, they would quickly leave, not daring to stay any longer, afraid of angering that broken East River. After all, even the second and seventh true lords of the God-Eyed clan were instantly killed. When the large powers of the universe, were guessing and doubting, even most of them not knowing who the inheritor was, Luo Feng was studying calmly. The inheritance space was definitely safe. What's more, it was within the tomb boat. The moment the tomb boat closed, no one in the universe, would be able to enter, and whoever entered would be courting death. Even though the tomb boat couldn't attack from outside, after being modified by Broken East River, it had many terrifying methods. Even the strongest of the universe would be courting death if they entered. As time passed, Luo Feng's understanding of the undying, the universe knight, universe lord, and the strongest of the universe, the breakthroughs of every level, even the strongest of the universe on how to continue advancing, etc., was incomparably clear. Even the strongest of the universe didn't know as much as Luo Feng. Because in the ancient civilization, the analysis was extremely clear, and these were all considered the most ordinary and outer layer memory stones of the Broken East River inheritance. There was no value in keeping a secret. Even though Luo Feng was only a universe knight, he had the right to teach the universe lords, even the strongest of the universe. After all, the strongest of the universe, were all blind. Even if they broke through, they were all muddle-headed. After all, the experience of the seniors was too little. There was no way to conduct systematic research. In the blink of an eye, another 2,600 years had passed since he received the inheritance. Virtual universe, the creator of the huge Axis independent plane. Luo Feng has been the inheritor for so long. After sending us a mail, he hasn't appeared again. In the endless dark space before the shrine, the primal chaos city leader and the creator of the huge axe sat facing each other. In terms of relationship, primal chaos and the huge axe were very close. Back then, when the ancestor taught him, he also taught him. Primal chaos was more obedient, always listening to the ancestor's teachings. He was the eldest disciple. Huge axe, however, was different. He was more arrogant and independent, often wandering outside. He didn't even have a master and disciple relationship with the ancestor. However, without a doubt, Primal Chaos and Huge Axe were the earliest disciples of the ancestor. One was the eldest disciple. The other didn't have a master and disciple relationship. Huge Axe was like an older brother, especially after the ancestor was suppressed. The entire human race was supported by the two of them. After a long time, the two naturally had a deep relationship, often discussing together. You sure are worried about your treasured disciple. Huge Axe laughed loudly. I'm worried about an accident. Primal Chaos shook his head. Who knows about the ancient civilization? That broken East River may have other intentions. Who knows? Then can't you just find Luo Feng? Huge Axe said. I'm worried I'll disturb him from receiving the inheritance. Primal Chaos frowned. What's there to worry about? Luo Feng has a few large bodies. Don't tell me when he receives the inheritance, one of them can't even send a bit of consciousness into the virtual universe? Huge Axe shook his head. If you're worried, then I'll find him. Huge Axe was very direct, sending a mail to Luo Feng. Very quickly, a silhouette appeared in the silent shrine. It was Luo Feng dressed in a simple white robe. As he was used to wearing silver armor, it made him naturally lean towards silver and white. Luo, Huge Axe's creator, opened his mouth, suddenly frowning, carefully inspecting Luo Feng. Primal Chaos was meticulous. The moment he saw Luo Feng, he too was stunned. What level were they at? With one look, they could tell that Luo Feng before them had changed too much. That was an aura that came from deep within his bones. Some people's aura would become more resolute and sharp after battling. Some people would have a bookish aura after reading too much. Different experiences would cause one's aura to change. And when Luo Feng absorbed the entire ancient civilization's foundation, his own vision and realm had undergone a heaven-shaking change, far surpassing many of the strongest in the universe. He could completely become the strongest teacher, guiding them. Looks like the inheritance isn't normal. Huge Axe turned to look at the Primal Chaos City leader, exclaiming, "The moment I saw him, I felt like I saw the ancestor from back then. He liked to wear white too." He does have that feeling. The Primal Chaos City leader smiled. Luo Feng walked up. "Huge Axe creator, teacher, don't you two laugh at me." "I can tell." Huge Axe said, "You've gained a lot." "How was it?" The Primal Chaos City leader didn't laugh anymore, saying, "How is the inheritance this time? How did it help our human race? Do you have any confidence in letting us humans escape the reincarnation cycle?" Beside, Huge Axe's eyes were filled with anticipation. Luo Feng nodded. "From the undying level all the way to the strongest in the universe, everything is within my heart." His tone was really big. Huge Axe and the Primal Chaos City leader exchanged glances, their eyes gleaming. Sweat drops. He had already finished writing 2 chapters. He had rushed all the way home and hadn't showered yet. After showering, he estimated that he would sleep late today. He wouldn't be able to write tomorrow morning. Tomorrow's update would be at night. Of course, it wouldn't be as late as today. At the same time, I'll summon recommendation tickets. They're free. Everyone has one. Please take the trouble to click your mouse and vote to support Tomato. Chi ***, to be continued. If you like this work, please come to Chidian. Come to vote for me. Your support is my greatest motivation. Chapter 1276. What kind of person Luo Feng was? The Primal Chaos City leader and the Huge Axe creator were extremely clear. They had watched him grow up, just like back when he was first absorbed into the Virtual Universe Company. He never exploded out, but once he did, it would definitely be shocking. After becoming the Primal Chaos City leader's disciple, he had vanished for a long time. Even the outside world was speculating if he was dead. Luo Feng's growth. One could clearly see Luo Feng's character and style of doing things. The Primal Chaos City leader and the Huge Axe creator were extremely clear. Luo Feng did everything with confidence and preparation. If he wasn't confident, he wouldn't do it easily, and if he dared to confidently say it, then it would definitely work. Everything is in your heart. The Huge Axe creator laughed loudly. Everything? That's a big tone. However, I'm really happy to hear that. Undying to the limits of the strongest in the universe. The Primal Chaos City leader couldn't help but ask, "Then do you know how to pass the reincarnation?" Beside, the Huge Axe creator's gaze froze, staring at Luo Feng. Passing the reincarnation. Even the Huge Axe felt fear, hesitation, and no confidence. Luo Feng was slightly stunned. Passing the reincarnation? He really didn't know. Luo Feng said seriously, "The inheritance of Duandong River is extremely vast. However, due to the influence of the primal universe willpower, I can only know of the countless inheritances up to the limits of the strongest in the universe. Any higher, and one has to pass the reincarnation. Only then would one not be affected by the primal universe willpower." Origin willpower? Giant Axe and Chaos looked at each other. Others might not know, but the two of them were the ones who had the most contact with the progenitor. After the progenitor was suppressed, it usually contacted the two of them more often, so they had heard about the original will from the progenitor. Hua. On the two sides of the long stone table were many chairs. Luo Feng, huge axe, and primal chaos sat there. Suddenly, opposite huge axe's seat, a white-robed silhouette appeared in the empty chair. It was the ancestor. However, Luo Feng, huge axe, and primal chaos didn't realize it. Origin willpower? The white-robed ancestor frowned, listening from the side. However, how the strongest in the universe continue to train, how to reach the limits of the strongest, I know. Luo Feng said, with this limit as a foundation, if one breaks through and reaching a new level, one will definitely be able to pass the reincarnation. The huge axe creator said directly. Luo Feng looked shocked at the creator of the huge axe. He himself was only guessing. After all the information regarding the reincarnation and the inheritance couldn't be found, even the strongest of the universe and above couldn't be found. He didn't expect Great Axe to be so confident. The Primal Chaos City Master also looked at the axe in shock. Huge Axe looked at Luo Feng and Primal Chaos. Very simple. When you break through and become the strongest in the universe, you'll understand why I know. One sentence. Completely break through the strongest level and reach a higher level. You'll definitely pass the reincarnation. If he couldn't achieve it, he could take a gamble and transcend the cycle of reincarnation. As for the probability, take a look at the countless strongest experts of the universe who have fallen in the reincarnation era, and you will know how low the probability is. Luo Feng and the Primal Chaos City leader nodded. There were at least 10,000 reincarnation eras, and every reincarnation era had at least 10,000 strongest experts in the universe. It was hard to say how many strongest experts there were in the long river of time in the cosmic sea. But those who succeeded were very clear. Purple Moon Ancestor and East Deity Ancestor. It was just the two of them. As for these two ancestors, they broke through and transcended the strongest level of the universe and successfully passed the reincarnation. Or they gambled with the pinnacle of the universe's strongest and luckily succeeded. No one knew. Then Universe Lord. How do they become the strongest? The Primal Chaos City leader asked. This was related to himself. To break through, every Universe Lord can't walk the same path. Does the Duandong River Inheritance have any guidance? Huge Axe asked. Yes. Luo Feng nodded. In the ancient civilization, there were countless warriors. Even though becoming the strongest in the universe was a huge threshold because there were many breakthroughs. Naturally, there was a system of knowledge and experience to follow to maximize the probability of breaking through. Our human race, when this reincarnation era ends, may have 4 to 5 universe strongest. However, if there's guidance, I'm afraid it'll multiply by many times. The god-eyed race back then had 7. Humanity only had 2, and the ancestor had been suppressed. To produce 4 to 5 was already not bad. Multiply by many times? Huge Axe and Primal Chaos were shocked. Doesn't this mean that every universe lord will become the strongest in the universe? The Primal Chaos City leader asked. Humanity only had a total of 19 universe lords. No, Luo Feng shook his head. That's not what I meant. From universe lord to the strongest, it's an extremely terrifying threshold. With the guidance of the ancient civilization, even though the probability of breaking through is the highest, it's still very difficult. What I mean is from undying to the strongest in the universe, the entire nurturing system. Luo Feng said, for example, right now, humanity only has a few thousand universe lords and close to 20 universe lords. And under a more complete system, the human race could have over 100,000 universe venerables and hundreds of universe lords. Of course, this nurturing method would allow those with weaker talent, who were originally at most universe lords, to become universe lords. Hence these hundreds of universe lords, their average talent can't even compare to the close to 20 universe lords of our human race. Hundreds of universe lords, they should be able to produce tens of universe strongest. Luo Feng said, if we're lucky, close to 100 universe strongest is also possible. Silence. The primal Chaos City leader and the creator of Huge Axe went silent. They were stunned. It was too unbelievable. How many universe strongest were there in a reincarnation era? Like the first and second reincarnation eras, there were only about 30 each. Could humanity be stronger than a reincarnation era in the future? The primal Chaos City leader didn't know what to say. You have confidence? Huge Axe's eyes gleamed. Luo Feng nodded. Of course. The universe strongest is just one of the paths of the strong. As our human race gets stronger and our territory in the primal universe expands, there will be more and more geniuses. Close to 100 universe strongest is very possible. All right, Huge Axe said, then give us some pointers. Let us see just how powerful this ancient civilization is. All right. Luo Feng was confident, naturally confident. Huge Axe nodded. I'll arrange for them to come over. On this floating continent in the endless space, silhouettes began to appear on the long stone table in front of Huge Axe shrine. Creator Huge Axe, why are you in such a rush to find us? Lord Pungworker laughed. At the same time, the other universe lords appeared one after another. They were the Lord of Darkness, the Lord of Void Gold, the Lord of Green East, the Lord of Desolation, the Lord of Pungworker, the Lord of Dragon Travel, and the Lord of Icepeak. Including the primal Chaos City leader, there were a total of 8 universe lords. The moment they arrived, they noticed Luo Feng. All of them were excited and filled with anticipation, because they were clear that Luo Feng was accepting the ancient civilization's Duan Dong River inheritance. His appearance this time seemed to be related to that inheritance. Luo Feng has already accepted the Duan Dong River inheritance. Huge Axe's eyes swept around, looking at the universe lords. Primal Chaos, Darkness, Peng Gong. Your chances of becoming the strongest in the universe are high. Void Gold, Dragon Travel, Desolate Mirror, Qing Dong, Ice Peak, the 5 of you too have high hopes. Listen to Luo Feng's explanation on how to break through from Universe Lord to the strongest in the universe. Hua! The primal Chaos City leader was still calm. He just smiled. However, the other 7 were all shocked and excited. From Universe Lord to the strongest in the universe? There were simply no traces to follow. Everyone had to walk a different path. This was something that had been troubling them for a long time, and the breakthrough had to be in the primal universe era. The moment this era ended and they entered the small universe, they would have no more chances to break through. How could they not be anxious? Luo Feng, do you have confidence? Green East Lord was the first to shout. In he, can I become the strongest in the universe? Peng Gong Gong was direct. Luo Feng said, the few of you here are the most talented of our human race. To be able to reach this stage without the guidance of a system, they are all extraordinary. The moment we have the guidance of the ancient civilization, our human race will naturally have the highest hopes of becoming the strongest in the universe. As for who will be able to break through, I can't guarantee it. Only, after everyone listens to me, you will all understand. Don't ask, listen to Luo Feng. Huge Axe ordered. The universe lords who had been anticipating for countless years all sat there, resisting all sorts of doubts and worries, suppressing everything within their stomachs, staring at Luo Feng and listening intently. And the white-robed ancestor, too, began to listen. Luo Feng's gaze swept past everyone, from universe lord to the strongest in the universe. Everyone has to walk a different path. However, in truth, they could be categorized into 2 types. Everyone held their breaths and listened intently. The first type starts from God energy. The second type starts from the origin laws. Luo Feng said confidently. The creator of Huge Axe was immediately suspicious, saying, from the origin laws, this to become the strongest in the universe, for what I know, everyone starts from the origin laws. Like the one from the Space Beast Alliance, he combined the 8 great beast god origin laws. The others start from space and time. It's just that the direction is different. Luo Feng smiled. From origin laws, Almost 90% of the strongest in the universe are like this. Luo Feng explained. And from God energy, what is God energy? God energy forms the body. Within the God energy, there are life imprints, forming the life core. Just like us humans have souls, some races don't. However, they still have a life core. Anyway, any universe lord can become limitless God energy. Everyone listened quietly. What are the fundamentals to becoming the strongest in the universe? It's breaking through the restrictions, breaking through the restrictions, breaking through the shackles on us, entering a new world. Luo Feng emphasized, like starting from the origin laws, it's a breakthrough in the origin laws, allowing the God country to break through its bottleneck. The moment it breaks through, it will naturally transform into a small universe. From God energy, the universe lord's perfect genes are 10,081 times stronger. This is the limit. Starting from God energy is to break through this limit, allowing the God energy to evolve to a new level. Luo Feng emphasized, the moment the God energy evolves, the body and soul evolve too. This is using strength to break through, using absolute strength to break through the shackles. The moment the body breaks through, the God country it can hold will naturally become bigger, breaking through the bottleneck and transforming into a small universe. No one present made a sound upon hearing this. The races of the universe, were all blind. As their numbers were too few, there was no way to study them systematically. And there wasn't a true, absolute warrior standing at the top, analyzing everything from high vantage point. Breaking through the shackles. Only then will one be able to control their own fate. From then on, the origin laws will retreat, the laws will follow. Luo Feng said, starting from God energy is extremely difficult. Starting from the origin laws is easier. I'll first explain how to do it from the origin laws. To be continued. If you like this work, please come to Chidian. Come to vote for me. Your support is my greatest motivation. Chapter 1277. From the origin laws. The simplest way to summarize. From undying, one would begin to understand one of the most basic laws like gold, wind, etc. To become a universe knight, one would study the time or space laws. Actually, the path of the origin laws is to start from the smallest point, constantly climbing upwards. The final goal is gold, wood, water, fire, earth, wind, thunder, light, time, and space. These are the 10 most basic laws. One has to learn them all. The second has to fuse them all into one primal chaos law. The moment Luo Feng said that, everyone present revealed looks of shock. Even the creator of the huge axe stood up in shock. In fact, a white-robed figure appeared out of thin air on the other main seat opposite the creator of the giant axe. You said primal chaos law? The white-robed man stared at Luo Feng, his eyes gleaming like never before. Ancestor, the creator of the huge axe, was shocked. Teacher, primal chaos, darkness and Ice Peak were both shocked and overjoyed, immediately bowing. The other Pung Worker leader, Green East leader, Void Gold leader, Dragon Travel leader, and Desolate Mirror leader were all extremely excited, shouting, Ancestor. Luo Feng too was shocked as he looked at the white-robed man before him. He was the legendary Ancestor? The Ancestor looked like a very normal man on the surface. It was a perfect, introverted feeling after reaching perfection. The feeling he gave others was like a spring breeze, completely different from other warriors. Luo Feng, you said primal chaos law? The Ancestor asked. Yes, Luo Feng replied. Everything is formed from the primal chaos law. The final goal is to return to the origin and comprehend the ultimate primal chaos law. However, if one really comprehends the primal chaos law, then one's power would probably be even stronger than Duan Donghe. The primal chaos law is the ultimate law. Gold, wood, water, fire, earth, wind, thunder, light, time, and space. These are the 10 basic laws. Luo Feng said, for example, gold and space merging, forming the gold space path. Wood and space merging, forming the wood space path. It can form the 8 great beast god paths. They can also merge with each other. Of course, gold and time merging, forming the gold time path, fire and time merging, forming the fire time path. As Luo Feng spoke, huge acts couldn't help but say, gold, wood, water, fire, and earth, aren't they space-related? How can they completely merge with time? Everything is possible. Luo Feng smiled. As everything is formed from primal chaos, everything is possible. Even 3 origin laws combining, for origin laws combining, even 5 origin laws combining. Luo Feng shook his head. Of course, it's just like the basic materials on a mineral planet. They could be transformed into universe ships. The 10 foundation laws will eventually transform into the laws of primal chaos. The profoundness, experience, and technique involved are unimaginably deep. Luo Feng said, it's not something that can be achieved by just blindly doing it. Everyone in the primordial era knew that the 10 great basic laws could eventually transform into the laws of primal chaos. However, even if the East Broken River lineage chooses the most talented inheritors and has countless resources to guide them, the number of people who can grasp the laws of primal chaos can be counted on one hand. Luo Feng had seen the core inheritance. Although he did not know how to cultivate after the true God stage, and what levels it was divided into, he did not know. Occasionally, there were some words that could be used to deduce some information. For example, the core inheritance memory stone had mentioned that there were only a handful of people from the Broken East River lineage who had grasped the law of primal chaos. What did this mean? 1. There wasn't just one. 2. Broken East River's strongest third-generation ancestor stood at the pinnacle of the ancient civilization. He was the strongest in Broken East River. Since there wasn't just one, that meant he had obviously surpassed the level of grasping the law of primal chaos. Luo Feng only spoke about the law of primal chaos for a while. After all, he knew very little about it. He only knew that from the undying to the universe's strongest true God limit, following which Luo Feng began to analyze the path of the origin laws on a deeper level. Everyone present, including huge acts, listened very carefully. And the white-robed ancestor only watched on. The only thing that attracted him was the information on the law of primal chaos. Because he had been suppressed for countless years, if he were to leave, he would have 100% confidence in passing the reincarnation. Since he dared to say he had 100% confidence, naturally he had already broken through the true God stage, reaching a level that was above the strongest in the universe. Hence, Luo Feng's words to him were fresh, only slightly moving. The true help was what he said before. The final goal was to grasp the law of primal chaos. This allowed the ancestor, who had always been at a loss on how to proceed, to know that he had to follow this path, advancing towards the law of primal chaos. The ancestor watched the scene before him. A white-robed Luo Feng was there preaching. The other universe lords were all listening intently. This scene touched the ancestor's heart. A long time ago, I preached too. It was a similar scene. I allowed the human race to stand at the pinnacle, allowing humanity's fate to undergo its first huge change. And this Luo Feng has brought the entire ancient civilization's wisdom, allowing humanity to undergo its second huge change. And this time, it will be even more profound than the last. The ancestor thought. He understood, with Luo Feng's teachings, humanity would gradually undergo a change. The number of knights would constantly rise. Universe lords would increase. The strongest in the universe would also gradually increase. When this reincarnation era ends, humanity would probably be the strongest power in the universe C, even stronger than the 2 sacred lands. Humanity, fate, turning point. The ancestor listened quietly. Even though he didn't know if he could escape the suppression and live, he could still see how strong humanity would be after countless years. Luo Feng's preaching this time would have a profound effect. Luo Feng first used the simplest language to summarize, after which he began to explain the larger theories in detail. After which, he began to explain the many difficulties of each theory, how to break through, etc. Universe Lord to the strongest in the universe. Just the theory guidance alone took Luo Feng more than 3 months before he finished, of which the path from the origin laws took up almost all the time. From God energy, it only took half a day. As it was too difficult to start from God energy, in the ancient civilization, there were very few trainers. Naturally, there was very little information, and the time spent on it was also very little. These are all theory guidance, thought guidance. Luo Feng smiled. Hence, I finished so quickly. When I return from the universe boat, I'll bring back some detailed inheritance techniques, like battle techniques, etc., for everyone. However, every technique is incomparably vast. If you just rely on words or memory, it'll be too slow. One had to know, Luo Feng relied on the memory stone to transfer large amounts of memories into his mind, and it took him so long. A vast and powerful technique to explain even 10,000 eras wouldn't be enough. Similar to the God I clan's combined attack, some special techniques, battle techniques of the strongest in the universe. Everyone looked forward to it. Luo Feng laughed loudly. Strongest in the universe? From the undying level to the pinnacle of the strongest in the universe. These complete techniques, all sorts of battle techniques. Even if there are tens of thousands of them, it doesn't matter, there's plenty. Countless manuals, it was indeed a vast amount. Luo Feng had seen all 360 blade manuals before during the selection of the basic inheritances. Now that he had become the owner of the inheritance space, those over 100 million inheritance stones, some of them even contained over 1,000 different techniques. Duan Dong River's collection was simply too much. Of course, the many techniques are only for reference, to let everyone know the methods of the strongest in the universe. Once you see more, you may get some inspiration. Luo Feng said, theory guidance, technique reference, the rest will depend on yourselves. This is, after all, a huge threshold. The difficulty is much harder than becoming a universe knight or universe lord. External support is secondary. Everything depends on yourself. Including the primal chaos city leader, everyone was deep in thought. These 3 months had a huge influence on them. Many of them knew how to work hard. As for whether they succeeded or not, it depended on themselves. After all, knowing and being able to do it were two different things. Universe boat, ice fire region, tomb boat within the inheritance space training space. Luo Feng let out a sigh of relief. It's finally finished. Luo Feng shook his head helplessly. I didn't expect the creator huge axe to be so hard to deal with. Teaching the teachers how to become the strongest in the universe only took 3 months. But to gigantic axe, the cultivation of the universe's strongest expert to the extreme, it took him 12 years. Teaching the primal chaos city leader, darkness lord, and the others. Luo Feng's blood boiled. He was filled with anticipation for humanity's future. However, teaching huge axe, even though he was excited at the start, he got tired later on. I'll continue my research. Luo Feng immediately immersed himself in his study. He accepted the foundations of an entire ancient civilization. How vast was it? Even though it was all in his memories, the research was indeed long. Luo Feng had no choice but to make some choices. His focus was mainly on close combat, blade techniques, and spirit weapons. Year 9106 of Luo Feng becoming an inheritor. My research has ended. Luo Feng opened his eyes. Even though I know a lot, no matter how much I know, it won't increase my strength. I still have to train. Knowing was useless. Only by knowing could it work. East Breaking River's core 3 absolute arts annihilation. East Flower, an undying river. He knew of them, but he hadn't learned them yet. In the long years of research that he had planned out for himself, the path of his blade technique, his spirit weapon path, etc., his own path, he had already decided on it, but he hadn't taken a single step. Annihilation is the most heaven-defying absolute art. It can instantly explode with unbelievable strength. Right now, I've just entered the universe's strongest level of blade techniques. Even though my god energy is weak, I'm still at the pinnacle of level 5. The moment I used the third-generation ancestor's absolute art annihilation. Hee, it's just that the price is too high. The consumption of my god body is too ridiculous. East Flower is quite important to me, too. As for Undying River, I'm not in a rush. I have many bodies now. There's no need to train Undying River. When the many clones combine and become the strongest person in the universe, at that time, only the main body will need to cultivate the Undying River. Luo Feng temporarily placed Undying River aside. He began to train Annihilation and East Flower. To be continued. If you like this work, please come to vote for me. Your support is my greatest motivation. Chapter 1278. Within the East Emperor Cosmos, there was a cluster of palaces built on the peak of a mountain. The entire cluster of palaces was divided into 9 areas. If one were to look down from the sky, they would look like a huge mutated beast. The entire cluster of palaces was emitting boundless, baleful aura. This was where the North True Star Lord resided. There were a large number of undying servants and disciples seeking guidance here. Main Palace. The North True Star Lord body sat high up in the main palace. His eyelids drooped as he continued to explain the origin laws. And the hundreds of supremacies sitting in the Great Hall didn't dare to be distracted at all. They listened carefully. Shem? The knights below were shocked to realize that the North True Star Lord had suddenly stopped speaking. They couldn't help but look curiously at him. We'll stop here. You all can leave first. The North True Star Lord suddenly ordered. Even though they were all stunned, they still shouted respectfully, "Yes, teacher." After which they all left the palace. Only the North True Star Lord was left high up in the main palace. Ancestor. The North True Star Lord shouted respectfully. I ordered you to bring 10 Universe Lords to guard the Flame Ice region. Have you discovered the Milky Way leader, Luo Feng? A green silhouette appeared. It was the East Emperor Ancestor, and the space around the palace had changed. Even if someone looked in from the outside, they wouldn't be able to discover anything. The East Emperor Ancestor's voice rumbled and resounded within the palace. The North True Star Lord bowed and said respectfully, Ancestor, ever since the inheritance ended and my clan's Blood Knight and the others failed, I've been following your orders to keep watch over the Flame Ice region. I've never slacked at all. From the tomb boat to every direction, there are Universe Lords watching. No matter how strong that Milky Way leader Luo Feng is, he can't just leave quietly. However, after so long, I've yet to discover that Milky Way leader Luo Feng. It looks like he hasn't left the tomb boat yet. We can't be careless, the East Emperor Ancestor said indifferently. Maybe another Universe Lord brought him out. I've already considered all the possibilities, the North True Star Lord said. Hiding in another warrior's world ring and quietly escaping. This is indeed a possibility. However, ever since our investigations began, we've stopped anyone who tries to enter the vicinity of the tomb boat from other regions. After so long, we've already stopped 39 Masters of the Universe and 2 of the strongest experts of the universe. Up until now, no one has dared to force their way in against the might of my clan. No one can go in. Naturally, no one can take Luo Feng away. North True Star Lord said respectfully. East Emperor Ancestor nodded in satisfaction. This Luo Feng has to be captured. The inheritance of the East Duan River was extremely important to him. Capture him at all costs. Yes. The Northern True Star Lord respectfully replied. East Deity Progenitor nodded indifferently. To the east, the arch sacred ground, even the death of 100 Masters of the Universe was nothing. Because the east, the arch sacred ground cosmos, could only accommodate a limited number of Universe Lords. And because it had existed for so long, it had long accumulated a large number of quasi-Universe Lords. For example, Venerable Bloodjade was a quasi-Universe Lord. Once other Universe Lords perished, a batch of quasi-Universe Lords would very quickly break through. To the high and mighty East Deity Primogenitor, he knew very well what the inheritance of the broken East River meant. As long as he obtained a small portion, he would benefit endlessly. Deep within the Universe Boat region, Within the vast ice flame region, there were no warriors around the tomb boat, and the Northern True Star Lord and the 10 Universe Lords were hidden and scattered, each monitoring their own regions. The primogenitor just came to find me. Northern True Star Lord spoke through his communication card. Again, during the time we've been here, the primogenitor has already come to find you 3 times. It seems like the primogenitor really values this. Ever since I've grown up, I've never seen the primogenitor so value anything. How can we not value it? Look, the 10 of us are definitely the top 20 universe lords in the East, the Arch Sacred Ground. 3 of us already have ultimate treasures. And now, the primogenitor even specially took out 7 ultimate treasures from the long years of accumulation of our race and gave them to us. Northern True, Star Lord, along with the 10 of us, we all have ultimate treasures. In the entire universe, see, the only ones who can do this are the Purple Moon's Sacred Ground and us. For the Purple Moon Sacred Ground to take out so many ultimate treasures, they probably have to go all out. Even for our race, it's a huge burden. We all have ultimate treasures in our hands. Even if we meet the strongest of the universe, we won't fear them. Against Luo Feng? What's more, in just a moment, the Northern True Star Lord will be able to break through the restrictions of the origin laws and swiftly catch up to him. Northern True is the main force this time. These universe lords all had high statuses. Even when conversing with the strongest of the universe like the Northern True Star Lord, they were usually on equal footing. They were the true elites of the East, the Arch Sacred Ground. Yet they were here to capture Luo Feng. One could see just how determined the East, the Arch Primogenitor was. Tomb boat, within the training space of the inheritance space. The journey of training is long and arduous. The 3rd generation ancestor's absolute art is even more profound. I can't just stay here forever. Luo Feng, who was sitting crossed-legged on the grass, opened his eyes and frowned. And I still have to create my blade technique, etc. I can clearly feel that my origin laws are too weak. Origin laws were one of his weaknesses, as he had to recognize the white feather. Hence his golden space, beast god path had always been stuck at the 7th level, not daring to train at all. And as he hadn't fully comprehended the golden space laws, when he researched the techniques, there would always be a knot in his heart. It would always affect him greatly, and as his research got deeper, this effect would become more obvious. I have to get out as soon as possible. I have to get the white feather as soon as possible, and then immediately train the golden space path. I'll first break through to Universe Lord before anything else. Luo Feng thought. Breaking through to Universe Lord, his god energy would transform. God energy represented his body. It also represented his soul. His soul itself becoming stronger, his consciousness becoming stronger, it would all be helpful to his training. And after his origin laws reached perfection, studying the techniques would be much easier. And he was planning to completely comprehend the 10 basic laws of gold, wood, water, fire, earth, wind, thunder, light, time, and space. His goal was very far. His plan was huge. He had to improve quickly. It was better to get the white feather and break through to Universe Lord as soon as possible. As for the tomb boat and the inheritance space, I'll bring everything with me. When I return to the primal universe, I'll place the tomb boat and inheritance space in my god country. That's the safest place. With my current strength, just my earth body alone can unleash the pinnacle of level 5 power. If it's the endless ocean, even if I use annihilation to madly burn my god energy, with the endless ocean's boundless energy, burning it won't be much. Even the strongest warrior in the universe will be able to fight his way out. Luo Feng was very confident. The 9 Underworld Lord was a universe lord. With the 9 Underworld Ocean, he didn't fear the strongest warrior in the universe. Luo Feng, even though his god energy was weaker, his blade techniques had already entered the universe's strongest level. He could completely make up for the difference in god energy, and with annihilation, he could explode with power, or even be harder to deal with. Of course, only the endless ocean was powerful. After all, Luo Feng's earth body and golden horned beast body, if they used annihilation, their god bodies would be consumed too quickly. They wouldn't easily use it. Inheritance space. Luo Feng took a step and passed through the space door, arriving at the treasure space within the inheritance space. Treasure. Luo Feng looked up. His surroundings were empty space. Before him was a majestic treasure mountain. The entire mountain glowed with dazzling lights that shot into the sky, emitting endless power. Every beam was so strong it made Luo Feng's heart tremble. Almost like hundreds of the strongest warriors of the universe were exploding. That overwhelming power. A total of 322 treasures. Luo Feng held his breath. Over the generations of Duandong River, countless years of accumulation, finally accumulating these 322 treasures. It's a pity I can only take one, and while I'm alive, I'll have to return one. This was the rule. Over the generations of Duandong River, they would usually only take one. If one's strength was high enough, they could even return 2 or 3, and that would be considered a contribution to Duandong River. All of this would be recorded on the stone tablet of the treasure mountain. These treasures had a special name in the ancient civilization. Elemental embryo. Elemental, in the ancient civilization, had an extremely respected meaning. Any treasure with this word was the pinnacle. Embryo, it meant an embryo. To a strong warrior, different times required different treasures. For example, if an undying was given a powerful treasure, he wouldn't be able to use it. Hence, any treasure that was formed couldn't be used by a strong warrior continuously. Hence, the term elemental embryo came into being. The elemental embryo was a special treasure that wasn't fully formed yet. Even undyings could start using it, and one could infuse one's own comprehensions into it, causing the treasure to have more engravings, for example. The Star Pagoda had layers of engravings, but the elemental embryo didn't even have one. It was empty, just relying on its own basic strength. It was already extremely strong, and the user could constantly infuse engravings into it, just like crafting treasures, easily infusing engravings into the elemental embryo. For example, Luo Feng had created the 3 great blade techniques before. They were split into Mist Void, Gold Universe, and Nirvana New Life, of which Nirvana New Life had already entered the strongest level of the universe. Even Luo Feng had to concentrate all his energy to instantly draw out the incomparably huge engravings and unleash this move. And the moment these engravings were infused into the elemental embryo, then all he had to do was activate it. He could completely split his attention to control the other treasures in battle. And Nirvana New Life borrowed the elemental embryo's power to unleash even stronger power. This was the elemental embryo. It could constantly grow. As one's strength grew, one could infuse even more important techniques into it. Even the elemental embryo could accompany a strong warrior all the way to the pinnacle of the ancient civilization. At that time, one elemental embryo would also grow into the most terrifying treasure of the ancient civilization. I can only choose one. What should I choose? Blade embryo? Luo Feng looked at the treasure mountain. He really wanted to take a few more. Asterisk, to be continued. If you like this work, please come to Chidian. Come to vote for me. Your support is my greatest motivation. Chapter 1279. However, this treasure mountain before him was left behind by the 3rd ancestor. Hence, it had many restrictions. Every inheritor had the inheritance imprint to retrieve one of the embryos. Without the imprint, there was no way to retrieve such a treasure. Luo Feng walked on the treasure mountain, looking around as he walked. Beams of light shot up into the sky, extremely powerful. The moment they exploded, even the strongest warriors in the universe would be instantly killed. However, due to the special restrictions of the treasure mountain, every single embryo was suppressed. Spirit weapons, close combat weapons, so many special weapons. This belongs to the machinery category. Luo Feng looked at them one by one. For example, there was a spherical-shaped huge fort. Its true size was comparable to a universe boat. This huge fort had 18 levels of attack units. Every level had blank engravings, requiring the user to research and fill in the blanks. There was also a special ship body. This ship body was actually a huge factory world. Within it were many requirements to create treasures. There was also a golden egg. It was a terrifying egg from the ancient civilization. It was extremely weak after being nurtured, however, it had limitless growth potential. If nurtured, it could be similar to the Bug Clan's Bug Sea tactics. It could also be used as an elite. It could be said that it was countless times stronger than the Bug Clan Queen's nurturing ability. Its value was completely comparable to an embryo. There was also a huge human-shaped mech. The human-shaped mech could be used as armor. It could also be used as a mech armor or as a puppet. The different uses also determined how the human-shaped mech was designed and modified, etc. Its countless internal parts had no engravings on them. There were even many parts that could be disassembled and modified. It was filled with limitless possibilities. In the ancient civilization, it was mainly split into close combat, long range, machinery, treasures, and miscellaneous. The first four were the main ones, while the miscellaneous was the combination of all sorts of special methods. And every type could be split into many different types. Putting aside the details and complexity of melee and long-range weapons, just the mechanical category alone had many tactical styles, such as the mechanical sea tactic, body tactic, fortress tactic, and many others. Different tactical styles had different elemental embryos. Just on this treasure mountain alone, there were 72 types of elemental embryos for the mechanical class. No wonder machinery was so prosperous in the ancient civilization. Luo Feng looked at the mechanical embryos, his eyes filled with greed. This power is too great. Even though my origin laws and techniques are weaker with these machines, I can easily kill enemies that are higher levels. Unfortunately, I can only choose one. Luo Feng stood in the middle of the treasure mountain and looked at a huge stone blade. This stone saber seemed to be carved out of a huge rock, and it was incomparably tall. Although it was inserted halfway up the mountain, its grip position was as high as the peak of the entire treasure mountain. The entire stone blade emitted a light that shot towards the sky. Luo Feng fell in love with the appearance of the stone blade. Among the origin embryos, there are a total of 3 saber embryos. There's the broad saber type, and there's the one that's as thin as a cicada's wing. I still like this one. The more Luo Feng looked at it, the more he liked it. It's very similar to the ghost blade I've loved since I was young. However, the handle is a bit bigger and can be held with both hands. That's it. Luo Feng immediately went forward, held his breath, and slowly extended his hand to touch the gigantic stone blade. The moment he touched it, a thin layer immediately appeared on the surface of the stone blade. On the thin layer were countless origin law engravings. Compared to the law engravings he saw in the ice mountain before, it was obviously much more complicated. Rumble, the entire treasure mountain began to tremble. The corners of the treasure mountain began to glow. The origin law engravings lit up and resonated with the thin layer on the stone blade. An inheritance mark appeared on Luo Feng's forehead. It formed a resonance, following which the thin layer and the light dissipated. Luo Feng's life imprint was already imprinted on the huge stone blade. Embryos, one needs to pay a huge price to create them. An ancient voice resounded in Luo Feng's ears. The current Duandong River. Remember, it will be your lifelong companion, your life and death friend. Treat it well. This voice, Luo Feng was slightly stunned. Is it the third ancestor who built the treasure mountain? Small, small, small. Luo Feng's thoughts moved. Immediately, the majestic stone blade began to shrink. In an instant, it was only about half his height. Luo Feng was filled with excitement and anticipation. Looking at the blade in his hand, the original stone appearance had shrunk. The huge stone engravings had shrunk into a beautiful scabbard engraving. Yes, the stone appearance was actually just the color of the scabbard and handle. Hua! Luo Feng gently pulled out the blade. The blade left the scabbard. Chi! The formless glow of the blade caused a space scar to appear in the surrounding space. This is the inheritance space. Luo Feng was shocked. The inheritance space was a precious treasure. Its interior was extremely stable. Even when he created the blade technique, Nirvana knew rebirth during the inheritance. When he practiced the blade technique, one blade only caused ripples in the space. It was impossible to cut it open. But now, the blade of this saber embryo had caused visible saber marks to appear in the space. That was too terrifying. Even if I don't use my technique, with this blade there, any universe lord who would dare touch it would be injured. Luo Feng was overjoyed. If I infuse it with engravings and use my god energy, its power would be even more terrifying. Such a blade, the first technique, will be my strongest blade technique. Nirvana Rebirth. Luo Feng felt that using the misty void and universe of gold was a blasphemy to the blade itself. He could easily use them, so there was no need to forcefully add the universe of gold engravings onto it. Only Nirvana Rebirth had the right to do so. Luo Feng used his god energy to activate it. Immediately, the blade's sharp body began to emit engravings. With the engravings, the entire blade had a mysterious and special feel to it. "This is the first engraving," Luo Feng said softly. "The first blade I've used since the beginning of my life is Blood Shadow. This blade embryo will probably accompany me for the rest of my life, until I reach my peak, or until I die." Luo Feng lowered his head and stroked the blade. "Then its name shall also be called Blood Shadow." With a thought, a simple Chinese word was left on the blade. Blood Shadow. Ever since he had grown up, he had used many blades. However, as he grew stronger, he had finally found a blade that he could always use. Blood Shadow Blade. The power of the Blood Shadow Blade is hard to fathom. Unless I want to kill my opponent, it's best not to unsheath it, Luo Feng thought. This blade was the only weapon he had obtained after becoming Duan Dong He. It was also an extremely powerful weapon. Without any techniques or godly energy to activate it, it was already able to cause cracks in the surrounding space. It was already comparable to a pinnacle level 5 universe lord. In the entire universe C, even the most powerful treasures, if they didn't activate them, wouldn't be this strong. This was a treasure that was truly above the most powerful treasures. Even though it only had 1 engravings, its power would still be unbelievably strong. The previous generations of Duan Dong He seniors, even if you look down on the most powerful treasures, you can still place them in the inheritance space. Luo Feng was helpless. Other than the most precious elemental embryos, there isn't a single powerful treasure. The memory stone left behind by Duan Dong, he before had recorded it very clearly. The previous generations of Duan Dong, he had only given 1 elemental embryos. As for the other treasures, they all had to be fought for by the previous generations. After all, if the previous generations left behind treasures, then the later generations wouldn't have to fight for them. They wouldn't be able to grow at all. A silver-armored Luo Feng left the treasure space and arrived at the main space of the entire inheritance space. Standing in midair. "Come!" Luo Feng waved his hand, and a beam of light flew over from afar, floating before him. This was an octagonal plate. This was the control core of the tomb boat. The previous generations of Duan Dong, he didn't leave any machinery for me in the inheritance space. The tomb boat, however, can be considered a machine. And my Wu Killer Wings can also be considered a machine. Luo Feng easily absorbed the control core of the tomb boat. If one were to analyze carefully, the most valuable treasures on him were naturally the inheritance space and the Blood Shadow Blade, followed by the Star Pagoda and Wu Killer Wings, followed by the tomb boat, of which the Wu Killer Wings and the tomb boat were both mechanical types. The tomb boat naturally didn't need much to be said. Even though his own strength wasn't that strong, he could still control the dangerous mechanisms within the boat. It was without a doubt a machine. The Wu Killer Wings belonged to the main body tactical type of machine. This type of machine was usually used to support the user, making the user's battle strength stronger. If the Wu Killer Wings only had 6 pairs of wings, without the source, then it would only be considered a treasure weapon. However, with the source, it was different. The source was similar to an engine, an energy storage unit. A strong warrior's god energy, through the source, would transform into terrifying energy and then be released through the 6 pairs of white wings. Fire ice region. The tomb boat floating in mid-air. Suddenly schwa. It vanished into thin air. A man in silver armor and boots appeared out of thin air, carrying a stone saber on his back. From what the Primal Chaos City leader teacher said, it seems like the East Emperor's Sacred Land and Purple Moon Sacred Land have warriors hiding in this area. They seem to want to capture the inheritors. Luo Feng's gaze swept his surroundings. The tomb boat and inheritance space were naturally kept. However, the current me isn't afraid of them. I hope they don't force me to use the Blood Shadow Blade. Luo Feng flipped his hand, and a blood-colored tower appeared before him. It was the Star Pagoda transformation. Luo Feng immediately flew in and sat on the Star Pagoda to fly into the distance. After comprehending the Nirvana rebirth, even if he used the Demon Destroyer armor, he would still have the pinnacle of level 5 battle strength. If he used something even more terrifying than the absolute treasures, the Blood Shadow Blade, then the current me may not be able to fight against the universe's strongest. But the universe's strongest definitely won't be able to kill me. Luo Feng was very confident. Once I become a universe lord, I'll make up for my god energy weakness. Luo Feng, who inherited the Duan Dong River. The moment he became a universe lord, he would definitely be the most terrifying universe lord in the history of the Universe Sea. Before, the universe lords were only divided into 6 levels. However, because of Luo Feng's existence, there would probably be 7 or even 8 levels. Asterisk, to be continued. If you like this work, please come to Chidian. Come to vote for me. Your support is my greatest motivation. Chapter 1280. Just how big was the tomb boat? On the East Emperor's Sacred Land side, the Northern True Star Lord and the group of absolute warriors didn't dare to let their guard down. Not mentioning other scouting methods. Just with their naked eyes, they could see the tomb boat. The tomb boat has disappeared. It disappeared. Just now, the tomb boat suddenly disappeared. Quick, quick, quick! The Milky Way leader Luo Feng must have already made his move. Everyone pay attention. Don't let him escape. Northern True Star Lord and the 10 Universe Lords all became alert. Even though they could see the tomb boat with their naked eyes from where they were, the blood-colored tower Luo Feng was almost extremely small. They couldn't see it with their naked eyes. As for their other scouting methods, they didn't dare to cover the area where the tomb boat was before, because they were afraid of angering Duan Donghe. All of you keep watch. Northern True Star Lord immediately became nervous, ordering, "Don't be careless. The moment you discover any palace-type treasures or other flying objects, you have to stop them. Don't let Luo Feng escape." "Yes, yes," all of them replied. "The ancestor has already instructed us many times. This matter is extremely important," Northern True Star Lord shouted. And in the outer regions like Purple Moon's Sacred Land and the First Reincarnation Era, many powers are hiding. They also want to capture the final inheritor. Don't let the other powers take advantage of it. Northern True, we all have powerful treasures in an entire Flame Ice region. The other powers can't compare to us. How can they compete with us? It was about to happen. The tomb boat that was floating majestically in mid-air suddenly disappeared. Not only did the East Emperor's Sacred Land discover it, even the further Purple Moon Sacred Land and many other powers from the First Reincarnation Era discovered it too. The originally calm powers were now like water. The water seemed to be boiling. The tomb boat has already disappeared. The inheritor is about to appear. Our race's last hope to escape the reincarnation cycle, capture the inheritor. No matter how strong the inheritor's potential is, no matter how much of a threat he poses, no matter which warrior wants to grow, he needs time. Even if he obtains the inheritance, within a short period of time, his strength won't be that strong. The moment he reaches his limit, our race will perish. Before that, there's no need to care about anything else. No need to care about the East Emperor's Sacred Land, Purple Moon's Sacred Land. So what if they're the Sacred Land universe? Snatch. This is our last hope. The first true Lord, third true Lord, fourth true Lord, fifth true Lord, and sixth true Lord looked at each other. Ever since the inheritance, the other two true Lord ranks had fallen, and the entire Holy-Eyed clan only had these 5 true Lord ranks left. In order to capture the inheritor, this time, all 5 of them had come. It was just that the outcome of being the tallest tree in the forest would be tragic. The Holy-Eyed clan, who had suffered once, was very low-key this time around. Let's wait and see the battle between the Purple Moon's sacred ground and the East the Arch sacred ground. There are also the other forces from my first reincarnation era. The fight for the successor this time won't be that simple. That's right. Since he obtained the inheritance of the East Cleaving River, he definitely has a way to protect himself. It won't be easy to capture the inheritor. Let's just wait and see. When the time comes, the 5 of us will join forces and capture the inheritor with absolute strength. Yes, the eyes of the 5 true Lord ranks burned. This time, it was a battle that could change their fate. Suddenly, the entire realm of fire ice was in chaos. Many forces hid themselves, and most of them didn't even know who the inheritor was. However, it didn't matter. All they had to do was capture the inheritor. If the Blood Jade Knight appears, then we'll capture him. If the Milky Way Luo Feng appears, then we'll capture him. These were the thoughts of the various races. Luo Feng had long known that the outside world was filled with traps. The human race had long told him that if he wasn't confident, he should temporarily stay within the tomb boat. However, Luo Feng was extremely skilled and daring. He had complete confidence. No matter what kind of traps they have, I'll break through them. The blood-colored tower became a beam of light and rushed forward at high speed. The tiny blood-colored tower was hard to discern with the naked eye. This flying palace, I've discovered a flying palace. That's the blood-colored tower. It's Luo Feng's. Master Mia from the East Emperor, Sacred Land, communicated to the others. He's flying towards our region. Mia, I'll rush over immediately. North True Star Lord was overjoyed, communicating. All right. Mistress Mia immediately turned into a streak of light and flew toward the tower. Rumble, rumble, rumble. North True Star Lord controlled his powerful treasure, his speed swiftly breaking through the limits of the origin laws. 1,000 times the speed of light, 10,000 times the speed of light, 100,000 times the speed of light, it instantly soared. And Luo Feng was still maintaining his maximum speed of 100 times the speed of light. Master Mia hadn't even reached Luo Feng yet. North True Star Lord had already arrived. Milky Way leader, how about following me to the Sacred Land? Our East Emperor Sacred Land's ancestor wishes to meet you. A voice resounded within the blood-colored tower. HM, within the blood-colored tower's control room. Luo Feng stood there with his stone blade on his back. His gaze passed through the Star Tower's barrier and looked outside. East Emperor's Sacred Land? Luo Feng said softly, indeed the number 1 power, being the first to make a move. This must be North True Star Lord. I heard he obstructed the other parties for a long time on the tomb boat. North True Star Lord. Luo Feng's voice resounded. I still have urgent matters to attend to in the primal universe. Once I return, it won't be too late to head to the East Emperor Sacred Land. How about that? Looks like Milky Way leader, you don't even want to give face to our Sacred Land's ancestor. North True Star Lord sneered within. Return to the primal universe? Once Luo Feng really returned to the primal universe, the other parties wouldn't be able to enter the primal universe. Capturing him would be impossible. Don't tell me your East Emperor Sacred Land invites guests like this? Luo Feng was still calm and confident. Then don't blame me. The Northern True Star Lord rode on the gigantic black multifaceted sphere and arrived above the blood-colored tower. Moreover, one of the sides of the gigantic black sphere suddenly cracked open and a powerful suction force suddenly acted on the Star Tower, trying to forcefully suck the Star Tower in. Absorb. North True Star Lord used all his strength to control it. The blood-colored tower that was being devoured suddenly disappeared into thin air, revealing an even smaller tomb boat. When he was being swallowed earlier, Luo Feng didn't want to recklessly use the Star Tower. Even though the Star Tower was an absolute treasure and should be able to withstand it, the Star Tower required God energy to activate. This time's heaven and earth net, relying on the Star Tower would probably be very tiring. As for the mechanical-type tomb boat, it was much easier. The tomb boat was modified by Duandong River. No matter what kind of absolute treasure it was, it would be impossible to forcefully absorb it. And he only needed to expend a little God energy, and he could borrow the energy of the tomb boat itself to activate it. It was easy and powerful. Tomb boat. When the Northern True Star Lord saw the ship below, his expression changed. This special tomb ship was modified from the Broken East River. The God-eyed race's second True Lord and seventh True Lord had died in it. Get in. North True Star Lord tried his best to absorb the tomb boat through the absolute treasure. Rumble, no matter how it was swallowed, the tomb boat began to madly expand. The fist-sized tomb boat before, in the blink of an eye, became a huge ship that was about 100 billion kilometers long. The huge tomb boat began to fly majestically, completely ignoring the North True Star Lord's absorption. Not good. North True Star Lord understood. It seemed like it was impossible to directly absorb the tomb boat. Block it. Rumble, the Northern True Star Lord directly rode on a gigantic black sphere and smashed it into the black sphere. How fast was his flying speed? The tomb boat could only maintain 100 times the speed of light. There was no way to dodge. Just like Mars colliding with Earth, the huge black ball smashed into the tomb boat. Donk! The tomb boat slightly shook and deflected the force of the collision, continuing to move forward majestically. It can't be blocked. North True Star Lord was anxious. This Luo Feng's God energy activating the tomb boat. It's actually this strong? The tomb boat was a mechanical type. Part of it relied on God energy. The other part relied on the boat's own strength. This was yet another modified one. Whether it was resistance, force of impact, flight, etc., it was much stronger than normal tomb boats by tens to hundreds of times. If a normal tomb boat was an ordinary boat, then this tomb boat that was personally modified by Duandong would be a universe ship. Naturally, it couldn't be compared. North True Star Lord, I'll block him. Lady Mia had already flown over. Quickly trap him. North True Star Lord said. Go! A huge purple light immediately broke through the air and flew over. The huge purple light continued to grow bigger and bigger, following which it enveloped the tomb boat. This enormous purple light was actually a strange net, a supreme treasure that was specially used to bind and trap enemies. Bind. Lady Mia tried her best to control it. However, no matter how much the purple net tried to tighten and block, the tomb boat continued to move forward majestically. Even though the surface was covered by the purple net, it was like an additional layer of decoration, not affecting it at all. I can't block it. Lady Mia was anxious. Then attack. North True Star Lord was anxious too. He couldn't swallow it. He couldn't forcefully block it either. Even a treasure used to restrict and trap enemies couldn't do it. Then how could he block Luo Feng? This tomb boat completely isolates the godly energy. North True Star Lord was anxious. He immediately became a glaring light, and a huge arc of light slashed fiercely against the tomb boat. The tomb boat shook slightly, after which it continued to move forward as though nothing had happened. It's useless. North True Star Lord stared. Material attacks are useless too. Any technique was useless against this tomb boat. Even trying to trap, it couldn't be done. The tomb boat didn't seem to care at all. It continued to move forward at high speed, heading into the distance. And in the distance there was still the purple moon's sacred land and the large group of absolute beings from the first cycle. Haha, this tomb boat is really strong. Maybe if I just control it like this and charge forward, I'll be able to charge out of the universe boat. Luo Feng was relaxed. This sort of charging forward, ignoring all treasures and the strongest beings in the universe felt really good. This was the charm of a mechanical treasure. Asterisk. To be continued. If you like this work, please come to vote for me. Your support is my greatest motivation. Chapter 1281. Rumble. The huge tomb boat advanced majestically, unstoppable. What do we do, Beijun? Mia's leader asked mentally. If we don't stop him and allow him to advance like this, he'll be out of our control. Outside, there's the purple moon's sacred land and the powers from the first reincarnation era. There's a large group of absolute warriors there. Even the strongest of the universe has 20 to 30 of them. I know. Beijun was anxious too. He was very clear on the situation. Even though Luo Feng was the inheritor, the powers of the universe ocean didn't fear him at all. Not even mentioning those from the first reincarnation era who didn't fear anything in the face of death. Just the two sacred land universes, the orders of the two primogenitors were naturally even more fearless. This time, the East Emperor's sacred land relied on their many treasures. Relying on the fact that the other powers weren't united, they were able to control the innermost region. Of course, the other powers were willing to stay outside, other than their lack of unity and strength. The more important reason was they didn't believe that the inheritor of the Duan-Dong River would be caught so easily. If the situation really went south, they would definitely rush over. What do we do? What do we do? North True Star Lord was anxious and worried. Simultaneously, he was thinking of ways to stop Luo Feng and trap him. Go! North True Star Lord stood mid-air and waved fiercely. The huge multi-faced black ball immediately became a glaring black light. And as it flew, the black light got thicker and thicker. In terms of size, it was even bigger than the tomb boat. Following which, with a rumble, it clashed with the tomb boat. The tomb boat shook, however it wasn't damaged at all. Primogenitor, that Milky Way leader Luo Feng is driving the tomb boat out. However, I have no way to stop him. Even the most powerful treasures couldn't stop it. What do we do now? North True Star Lord was anxious within the Sacred Land universe. His body immediately asked the East Emperor Ancestor. Can't catch him? Can't stop him? The East Emperor Ancestor appeared in midair. There's nothing we can do. This tomb boat is much stronger than the ones we obtained in the past. The Northern True Star Lord said, after being modified by the East Duan River, this tomb boat is no longer ordinary. Whether it's capturing, trapping, binding, or soul attacks, material attacks, everything is useless. The East Emperor Ancestor was worried too. What to do? This time, he had already sent out his strongest team, with 10 rank 6 universe lords working with Beijun. Furthermore, he had given the Northern True Star Lord several supreme treasures. Even if the enemy was using a supreme treasure palace, the Northern True Star Lord should be able to easily trap them. Broken East River, as expected of the Broken East River. East Deity Primogenitor frowned. You've been following that Milky Way leader Luo Feng. East Deity Primogenitor shouted, follow him at all times. This time, it's not just us, that purple moon also wants it. Especially those madmen from the first cycle. They are willing to use any methods. Just follow and wait for the chance. If there's a chance, snatch that Luo Feng. What if we can't get it? The Northern True Star Lord asked worriedly. What a joke. This time, more than half of the universe's strongest had come from the first reincarnation era. The second reincarnation era also had several of the universe's strongest. The primeval universe might also have one or two of the universe's strongest hiding. Just this alone was already 20 to 30 universes strongest, not to mention the number of lords of the universe who were not much weaker. Once the chaos reaches a certain level, no matter how powerful the Northern True Star Lord is, he wouldn't be able to get Luo Feng to leave. If we can't get it, the East Deity Primogenitor hesitated for a moment before ordering. Just do this. Hearing the East Deity Primogenitor's orders, the Northern True Star Lord was shocked. This is too. The Northern True Star Lord couldn't believe it. Do as I say. The East Deity Primogenitor ordered. Yes. The Northern True Star Lord replied respectfully. Within he muttered, what a lucky punk. The Fire Ice region, due to the appearance of the inheritor of the ancient civilization's Duandong River. It became the region with the most warriors in the Universe Sea. It's the tomb boat. The inheritor has arrived on the tomb boat. The East Emperor's sacred land couldn't catch him, nor could they stop him. Our chance. Do it. The outer region, just the purple moon sacred land alone, had no way to completely control it. And the various powers of the first cycle couldn't wait any longer. The strongest warriors of the universe all made their moves. In mid-air, many terrifyingly powerful attacks easily caused space and time to completely distort and shatter. Some tried to swallow the tomb boat. Others directly attacked to mess up the situation. The more chaotic it got, the weaker ones had a chance to fish in troubled waters. Hong, pong, hua. The tomb boat shook time and time again. Roar, a colossal beast that was over a light year in size, roared as it approached. Its gigantic scaled wings were spread open, and its mouth was wide open, revealing an endless black hole as it bit down on the tomb boat. Pong, pong, pong. Almost instantly, a total of 9 supreme treasures collided with the huge mutated beast, causing it to tremble and collapse. Damn it! From afar, the first, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth true lord of the holy-eyed race revealed looks of anger. Just now, they saw the opportunity, saw that the tomb boat was a little out of control, and immediately acted, forming an eternal true god-mutated beast to swallow it. Idiots from the holy-eyed race, you want to take the inheritor away? Dream on. From afar, a huge skeleton sitting on a white throne spoke in a hoarse voice. My bone race has been watching you for a long time. Bone race. The 5 great true lords of the holy-eyed race were even more furious. The holy-eyed race and the bone race that were born in the first reincarnation era were all heaven-defying races. When they were still living in the primeval universe, the bone race once dominated the universe, defeating many races, and was extremely arrogant. Then, the rise of the holy-eyed race. The rise of the holy-eyed race was extremely fast, quickly suppressing the bone race, and continued suppressing the bone race. The 2 races fought for close to 3 reincarnation eras. Previously, when the 7 great true lords joined forces, they indeed completely suppressed the bone race. But now, with 2 dead, the bone race and the holy-eyed race no longer had a hard time fighting. What a bunch of lunatics. Just now, when he was bitten by the huge mutated beast, Luo Feng was also shocked. Just as he was preparing to control the tomb boat, to quickly expand and directly cause the mutated beast to collapse. But at this moment, the other strongest experts of the universe instantly attacked, causing the mutated beast to collapse. In just 10 seconds, 16 supreme treasures attacked me. Luo Feng, who was in the control hall of the tomb boat, was also shocked. Even though he had expected this to be an inescapable trap when he actually encountered it, he was still a little shocked. After all, before this, the strongest experts of the universe were still somewhat far away from him, and normally they would not lower themselves to attack him. The only time was when the Void Demon God tried to kill him, but he was also blocked by the dual-faced Ancestor God. And the Void Demon God probably did not even take him seriously. To the Void Demon God, it was just a small matter. This time was different. This time, more than half of the strongest experts of the universe in the first reincarnation era, as well as other strongest experts of the universe, had completely made him their target, all of them madly trying to capture him. Rumble, howl, all sorts of sounds. Whether it was a palace-type supreme treasure, a spirit weapon-type supreme treasure, or a close combat-type supreme treasure. One by one, they landed on the tomb boat, opening Luo Feng's eyes. The number of supreme treasures in the entire universe, C, was pitifully small, usually in the hands of the strongest experts of the universe. Today, more than a third of the strongest experts of the universe had gathered here. No, there's no way to even shake this tomb boat. The tomb boat doesn't even have a scratch on it, much less a crack. It even continues to fly forward. We can't even stop it. All the strongest experts of the universe first went crazy, but very quickly they realized how terrifying this tomb boat was to the point where the large races stopped intentionally causing trouble. Before this, they were afraid that other powers would snatch away their inheritors, hence they purposely destroyed them. For example, the holy-eyed race's huge beasts were destroyed the moment they formed, but now, as though they had a tacit understanding, they stopped destroying them. Immediately, their power and methods increased explosively. I don't believe that with so many experts here, we can't even capture one tomb boat. Now that the bone race isn't causing trouble, let's quickly make our move. In an instant, the attacks became terrifying. A towering, huge, golden three fingers appeared out of nowhere, directly grabbing the tomb boat. However, the tomb boat continued to fly, forcibly bringing the huge golden three fingers along with it. As soon as the Holy-Eyed clan's giant mutated beast appeared, it bit the tomb boat. The tomb boat continued to fly. The powerful flying force, it forcibly brought the giant mutated beast along. As it flew, it continued to expand. At this moment, the strongest experts of the other universes were also anxious. They also attacked one after another, forcing the mutated beast to disintegrate. How can this tomb boat's flight force be so strong? Even if it's a palace-type supreme treasure that can block attacks from all directions, at most it can stay in place without moving. Its flight force is actually stronger than the binding force of 10 supreme treasures combined. Even if they joined forces, it would be useless. They couldn't stop it. Everyone understood. Luo Feng could completely fly like this, all the way until he flew out of the universe boat, all the way until he returned to the primal universe. Luo Feng was exceptionally carefree within the tomb boat. To be able to cause so many pinnacle existences of the universe to be helpless, this kind of satisfaction was extremely strong. Luo Feng, a god power transmission, was transmitted to the tomb boat. Luo Feng controlled the tomb boat. Naturally, he knew. I am the Northern True Star Lord, representing the East Emperor Ancestor. I wish to make a deal with you. The Northern True Star Lord transmitted. Deal? The East Emperor Ancestor? Luo Feng's heart moved. In a distant corner of the ice-fire region, time and space were vaguely distorted, and within this distorted time and space, there was actually a green mountain, Duandong River lineage, indeed worthy of its reputation. Mountain Guest looked from afar, smiling. Even the tomb boat modified by the previous Duandong River could be so strong. Looks like I was overthinking. I really want to see the inheritance of the Duandong River lineage. His lineage should have information on treasure forging. After all, this is one of the pinnacle inheritances. However, under the will of the primeval universe, even my disciple probably doesn't know the true depths of the Duandong River lineage. Mountain Guest shook his head slightly, after which the distorted time and space suddenly calmed down and Mountain Guest quietly left. Asterisk, to be continued. If you like this work, please come to Chidian. Come to vote for me. Your support is my greatest motivation. Chapter 1282. No matter what the strongest warriors in the universe did, he was still safe within the tomb boat. After all, after recognizing him as the owner, Luo Feng was very clear on the power of the tomb boat. And at this time, his thoughts were all on the North True Star Lord's proposed deal. Representing the East Emperor Ancestor to make a deal with me? Luo Feng was shocked within, thoughts flashing through his mind. Who was the East Emperor Ancestor? He was the ancestor of the oldest sacred land of the Universe Sea. Without a doubt, he was the richest in the Universe Sea. What deal? Luo Feng communicated. Outside, the North True Star Lord let out a sigh of relief. This Luo Feng finally had a reply. As long as there was a reply, it was good. He was afraid he wouldn't even care. Following which, the North True Star Lord communicated to the surface of the tomb boat. Firstly, congratulations Milky Way Lord for acquiring the Duandong River inheritance. Secondly, let's talk about the deal. Our East Emperor Ancestor said, he needs your inheritance, the inheritance you'll receive. Of course, he doesn't need any treasures, just the memories will do. Memories? Luo Feng sneered. North True Star Lord, don't you think the East Emperor Ancestor is too delusional? Every race fought so hard, and I finally acquired the inheritance of the Duandong River. What right does your East Emperor ancestor have to take away my inheritance? Don't even think about it. Everything is negotiable. North True Star Lord wasn't angry at all, saying, "Our race is the oldest sacred land of the universe, see, much older than the Purple Moon's sacred land. We've also acquired many inheritances and even know some of the secrets of the universe, see. Our race has the most treasures too. As long as you agree, then our race's secret inheritances, secrets, and even treasures, everything can be discussed." "There's nothing to discuss," Luo Feng replied with one sentence. He was very tempted. After all, the universe, see, was so mysterious. There were indeed many unknowns. The East Emperor ancestor was probably the one who knew the most. Secret inheritances, treasures, they were all temptations. However, this memory inheritance was the most important part of the Duandong River inheritance, and he swore with the inheritance mark he couldn't go against it. North True Star Lord said, "Just the memory inheritance, no need to say more. If it's just this deal, then it's fine." Luo Feng rejected. North True Star Lord muttered to himself. If that was really the case, East Deity's primogenitor didn't have much hope when he gave the order. Furthermore, East Deity's primogenitor even said that this kind of ancient inheritance that only had one inheritor in every generation would definitely have a way to prevent the inheritance from being leaked. What about the inheritance of memories? The Northern True Star Lord asked. Part? Luo Feng's heart moved. He wasn't in a rush to reject. Which part does the East Emperor ancestor want? The Northern True Star Lord was secretly delighted. As long as they could talk, there was hope. Of course, it's cultivation experience. The Northern True Star Lord said, "My clan's primogenitor wishes to obtain the experiences related to cultivation at a higher level, as well as the inheritance of memories. Your ancestor really knows what's the most precious." Luo Feng laughed. In the inheritance of memories, it was divided into the core of the core, the three great absolute skills left behind by the third-generation martial ancestor. The normal core memories were the records of Duandong River's training experiences, as well as other absolute warriors' training experiences, etc. The normal ones that could be leaked were over 100 million memory stones. These were all shallow and basic inheritances. There were even very few that surpassed the true God level. It could be said to be the basics of the basics. Without a doubt, the experience of training to an extremely high level was extremely precious, even if it wasn't from Duandong River. The moment it was gathered by the past generations of Duandong River, it would be categorized into the core inheritance. That East Deity's primogenitor wanted these training memories. He was very clear on its importance. It was a pity extremely high-level training memories. They were all part of the core. Luo Feng couldn't leak them at all. Maybe I can trick him a little. Luo Feng thought, "My clan's foundations are weak. We have very few treasures. Maybe I could trick a few powerful treasures from the East Deity ancestor. Then our human race will immediately become much stronger." Anyway, other than himself, no one else knew what was going on with the Duandong River inheritance. Hence, there was a chance of success. So what if he failed? Would the East Deity ancestor, who had always been in the sacred land universe, be able to rush out? Whether it was the inheritance of the tomb boat or the capture of him now, the two ancestors never came out of the sacred land universe. Obviously, it wasn't that they didn't want to come out, but there was some reason that made them unable or unwilling to come out. Even the Duandong River inheritance couldn't force them out. Then, even if he tricked a few powerful treasures, why would the East Deity ancestor come out? Part of the inheritance? Many thoughts flashed past Luo Feng's mind. He immediately organized his thoughts and said coldly, "My Duandong River inheritance. Even I don't have the right to leak it out. There's a chance." North True Star Lord was overjoyed within. He was entrusted by the East Deity ancestor. Hence he knew quite a bit. "You can't leak it, so I won't force you, Lord of the Milky Way. My primogenitor only needs cultivation experiences and memories. Considering how ancient your East Break River lineage is, I'm sure you've collected the cultivation experiences of other super existences. Just bring the experiences from the past generations of Duandong River to trade with my clan. You know so much. Luo Feng was shocked within. It was a pity that the East Deity Ancestor didn't know that even the Duandong River training experiences were included in the core inheritance. The East Deity Ancestor is indeed the East Deity Ancestor. He knows so much. Luo Feng said, if it's not the Duandong River, there are some. North True Star Lord was filled with anticipation and excitement. However, not many. There's only a total of 3 absolute beings training inheritances. Luo Feng said, I reckon there's more than 3. North True Star Lord guessed. However, he didn't probe further. Milky Way leader, name your conditions, and my ancestor will take these 3 inheritances. North True Star Lord said, let's talk about the conditions later. Luo Feng asked, don't tell me your East Deity Ancestor doesn't know that these memories that surpass the strongest in the universe are influenced by the primal universe willpower. Haha, he knows, of course he knows. North True Star Lord said directly. However, your Duandong River should be using memory stones or similar memory storage methods. Your current strength isn't enough, hence you won't be able to know the rest of the information. However, my ancestor has long surpassed the rebirth cycle. If you give the memory stones or similar storage items to my ancestor, he will naturally be able to view them. Luo Feng was stunned, right? He couldn't see it himself, but a warrior that had surpassed the rebirth cycle could. Can we discuss the details of the deal now? North True Star Lord asked. 10 absolute treasures. Your clan's secret inheritance. Universe C secrets. Luo Feng said immediately. The Northern True Star Lord was startled. Ruthless enough. He really dared to ask. 10 absolute treasures? Even for the East Emperor's sacred land, because the ancestor never left the sacred land universe. Only universe lords roamed the universe sea. Hence, over the long years, the number of absolute treasures collected was very few, and they usually belonged to the universe lord himself. Hence the clan's storage was pitifully small. If it was like the Purple Moon sacred land, they would probably have to steal the treasures of the universe lords and the strongest in the universe to gather enough. East Emperor's sacred land? Their storage would be almost depleted. This is too. North True Star Lord wanted Luo Feng to lower his conditions. My clan knows quite a lot of secret inheritances and universe C secrets. What inheritance secrets? Those are just supplementary. Luo Feng shouted. Your clan's secret inheritance. Can it compare to what I have? Can it compare to the inheritance I have? As for the secrets, that's a secret from countless years ago. It's just to satisfy my curiosity. Whether I know or not, it's just a small problem. North True Star Lord was helpless. 10 absolute treasures, not one less. Palace type, spirit weapon type, domain type, soul type, there has to be at least one of each. Luo Feng said directly. If there's one less, there's no room for discussion. North True Star Lord was so angry he wanted to roar. Was it easy? Even the strongest in the universe had to risk their lives to obtain the absolute treasures. How could they be so easy to obtain? Their few strongest in the East Emperor's sacred land lost their small universe and were weaker, hence they rarely went out. As for the group of universe lords who went out to fight for treasures, they usually couldn't compete with the strongest in the universe. Purely relying on the accumulation of time, they were able to accumulate these absolute treasures. Was it easy? Luo Feng's demand was exorbitant, and he wanted 10? He didn't understand. Even with the 7 true lords of the Holly-Eyed clan and the many universe lords fighting for 3 reincarnation eras, they could only gather about 10 absolute treasures. Especially after the tomb boat incident. With the 2 true lords falling, they probably wouldn't even be able to gather 10. Quickly make your decision. I don't have time to waste. Luo Feng said. Your demands are too high. I'll ask the ancestor. North True Star Lord said. Quickly go. Luo Feng was confident. Even the Holly-Eyed clan could gather close to 10 absolute treasures. How could the East Emperor's sacred land not be able to? And for this mission, the sacred land already had many absolute treasures. Taking out 10. Even though it was extremely painful for the East Emperor's sacred land, it didn't force them to the point where all the universe lords had to gather. East Emperor Sacred Land Universe. Within the main palace of the North True Star Lord. Ancestor. North True Star Lord looked at the East Emperor Ancestor before him. The three? The East Emperor Ancestor wasn't angry at all. Instead, he revealed a look of glee and nodded. If this Luo Feng really has the training experiences of the three ancient beings, the 10 absolute treasures can be given to him. Of course, we can't agree to it so easily. Discuss with him and lower the price. Absolute treasures? What did it have to do with the East Emperor Ancestor? The treasures within the sacred land. Even if a few universe lords died and a few absolute treasures were lost, it wouldn't affect the East Emperor Ancestor at all. To him, the cultivation experience of that ancient and powerful existence was the most valuable. However, I have to verify the authenticity of his memory inheritance. The East Emperor Ancestor said, "Don't let him use his fake memory inheritance to cheat away 10 absolute treasures. That would be a huge joke." North True Star Lord's heart ached when he heard this. 10 absolute treasures. Just thinking about it made his heart ache. How many absolute treasures were there in the entire universe? Were there even 100? To dare take out 10 absolute treasures to trade. Probably only the 2 Sacred Lands ancestors. To be continued. If you like this work, please come Chidian. Come to vote for me. Your support is my greatest motivation. Chapter 1283. Above them was an endless sea of lava, and below them was an endless black liquid swamp. One was scorching hot, one was freezing cold. This dangerous ice fire region had become the craziest battlefield. The strongest of the universe used their ultimate treasures and tried their best to stop the ship. However, the ship continued to fly forward at high speeds. The strongest of the universe could easily break 100 times the speed of light and continue to circle around it. Don't even talk about capturing it. We can't even stop it. What if we can't stop it? Are the 3 of us going to keep following it? Are we going to follow it wherever it goes? The various powers were anxious and helpless. The North True Star Lord had already brought the 10 Masters of the Universe under him over. He even arranged for the 10 Masters of the Universe to attack together. For a moment, the attacks from the east, the Arch-Sacred Ground side, were indeed very powerful. However, the North True Star Lord had been using a domain-type cardinal treasure to touch the tomb boat to maintain his divine power transmission. Milky Way Lord, the ancestor has replied. The North True Star Lord said. Oh, a voice resounded from the ship. The North True Star Lord gritted his teeth in anger. How hateful! He had lived for so many years and had never seen anyone with 10 supreme treasures. Even the 2 ancestors, before they broke free from the rebirth cycle, they didn't even have 10 ultimate treasures. But after they broke free, they became the greatest heroes of their race. They also controlled the fate of their race. Without a doubt, they were the ancestors of their race. Hence, the common treasures of their race, even the treasures of the universe lords and the strongest of the universe. With a single order from the ancestor, they would obediently hand them over. Because if it wasn't for the ancestor, they wouldn't even have lived past 3 reincarnations. Hence, even the 2 ancestors couldn't rely on themselves to get 10 ultimate treasures. What a lucky human punk. The North True Star Lord's expression was twisted. Thinking about the orders from the East Emperor Ancestor, he became even more jealous. First, he received the most valuable inheritance in the universe sea. Now he just took out a small part of it in exchange for 10 ultimate treasures. My tribe's primogenitor said that he agreed to exchange for 10 supreme treasures. The Northern Jun Star Lord transmitted his voiceover. Agree. Luo Feng stood up from his seat, his eyes gleaming as he walked around the hall. This was a crucial moment. This was an extremely important moment for the entire human race. If one were to say that his inheritance and the cultivation experience of the ancient civilization that he had brought with him would change the fate of the human race. But this kind of turning point was a gradual change over a long period of time. After all, experts needed a long period of time to slowly nurture. No one knew how long it would take for humanity to produce the next strongest expert in the universe. However, a supreme treasure could instantly change the strength of the human race. What the human race lacked were supreme treasures. If the 10 ultimate treasures reached the hands of the clan, the strongest existences, especially the creator of the giant axe, would be equipped with 2 or 3 ultimate treasures. They would definitely be able to dominate the cosmic sea like the progenitor back then. Primal Chaos City Master, Master of Darkness, Master of Pungong, and other peak characters also had extremely powerful treasures. They were like Master of Deerbug and the others, able to roam the universe, see, and not fear the strongest experts of the universe. With such a top-level power, the human race's power would naturally increase greatly. The following negotiations will be very crucial. That East Emperor ancestor definitely won't be so stupid as to give me the 10 absolute treasures. This is a negotiation for humanity's fate. Luo Feng's mind worked quickly, even though the progenitor agreed. North True Star leader said, however, the Milky Way leader is clear. These are after all 10 absolute treasures. No power in the cosmic sea can easily take them out. Even the progenitor wouldn't dare be careless. Hence, he needs to first verify the validity of the Milky Way leader's inheritance. The moment it's verified, he'll immediately hand over the 10 absolute treasures. Verified? Luo Feng snorted coldly. How? Naturally, the East Emperor ancestor will view it. Only the progenitor can verify its authenticity. North True, Star Leader said. North True, do you think I'm an idiot? This is a memory inheritance. The moment he sees it, he'll know. If the progenitor sees it and doesn't give me the absolute treasures, then what do? Luo Feng raged. And to verify it, according to what you said, it'll all depend on the progenitor's words. Do you think I'm stupid? Everything can be discussed. North True Star Leader said, no matter what, we have to verify its authenticity. Otherwise, if the 10 absolute treasures are given to you, and you give our East Emperor's sacred land a fake, then our sacred land. All right, since you're all worried, then I'll propose a plan. If you don't agree, then forget about it. Luo Feng said directly. Milky Way leader, please speak. North True, Star Leader said. Luo Feng said decisively. The plan is simple. I have a total of 3 ancient beings, training experiences, and inheritances. They're in 3 memory stones. First, hand over 3 supreme treasures to me as a pledge. I'll give you 1 memory stone, and let your East Emperor ancestor take a look. Once he sees it, he'll naturally know if it's real or fake. Whether it's real or fake, I can't be bothered to ask. Just one thing. If you want the next memory stone, you'll have to use another 4 absolute treasures to exchange. The last memory stone, you'll have to use the last 3 absolute treasures to exchange for it. That's the plan. If you agree, then we'll trade. If you don't, then forget it. Luo Feng was very domineering. Isn't this too much? Using 3 absolute treasures as collateral? Milky Way leader, if the memory stone is fake, wouldn't the 3 absolute treasures be gone? North True, Star Leader said. No, this definitely won't do. You'd better ask the East Emperor ancestor. Luo Feng laughed coldly. I believe the 3 absolute treasures to the other races are huge. However, to your East Emperor's sacred land, what are they? If you're not even willing to pay such a small price, you can forget about the inheritance. North True Star Leader was negotiating with Luo Feng while reporting to the East Emperor ancestor. This trade had huge implications. Even the North True Star Leader didn't have the authority to mess around. However, the East Emperor ancestor, as the strongest being in the universe sea, he wouldn't be easily influenced by Luo Feng. He immediately ordered the North True Star Leader 3 memory stones. The first time you use 1 absolute treasure as collateral to get 1 memory stone to verify. The second time, it was 5 supreme treasures and the third time, it was 4 supreme treasures. Gritting their teeth during the negotiations, pretending to be resolute, many other methods were used to test each other's bottom line. In between, they let the North True Star leader pass the message. The trade between Luo Feng and the East Emperor Ancestor was finally settled. The contents of the trade were, for the first time, he had to use 2 absolute treasures as collateral, and he had to ensure that one of the 2 was a palace-type absolute treasure. The reason why Luo Feng made this request was because in the 3 great danger zones of the universe, C, palace-type absolute treasures were the most urgently needed, and they were also extremely precious. The second time, he used 4 absolute treasures to exchange for 1 memory stone. The third time, he used 4 absolute treasures to exchange for 1 memory stone. The location of the trade, Universe C number 00921, within the dilapidated little universe. The time of the trade. Once Luo Feng safely returns to the primal universe, I'll inform him. Within the tomb boat. Ha ha ha. Luo Feng couldn't help but laugh loudly. 2 absolute treasures. With these 2 supreme treasures, especially the creator of the giant axe, he already had a godly axe in his possession. With a palace-type treasure, he's practically invincible in the Universe C. Luo Feng was very satisfied. Even though the creator was strong now, he wasn't invincible. Because the god axe was an attack type, it wasn't enough for defense. This was also why even though the huge axe was so strong, it still kept a low profile. However, it's weird. In the entire Universe C, the only ones who can see the deeper information of the Memory Stone are the 2 Sacred Land Ancestors. Luo Feng was curious. The East Emperor Ancestor is looking for me, but why didn't the Purple Moon Ancestor react at all? When he realized he couldn't catch me, did he not think of trading with me? Luo Feng guessed. However, Luo Feng knew very little about these 2 ancestors. After all, who knew how many reincarnations there had only been these 2 ancestors? The encounters of these 2 ancestors were definitely extraordinary. Since the East Emperor Ancestor sent himself to his doorstep, Luo Feng naturally wouldn't hold back and give him a good stab. However, the Purple Moon Ancestor didn't react. Luo Feng didn't dare act rashly. No matter what's in my mouth is mine. Let's first settle the deal with the East Emperor Ancestor and get the 2 absolute treasures first. Luo Feng thought. The creator of the huge axe took so long to get his hands on a god axe. One could only imagine how hard it was to get the absolute treasures. His own star pagoda was given by Mountain Guest. Of course, the process of recognizing him as the owner was incomparably close to death. The white wings. He relied purely on the senses of Wu Sha's wings to discover it. Blood Shadow Blade. Actually, the Blood Shadow Blade was just a blade embryo. It didn't have any techniques at all. It was just a Nirvana rebirth technique that he infused into it. Of course, even though it was just a blade embryo, it was stronger than any absolute treasure. This was something he got with his own strength. After all, he had to compete with countless warriors, going through layers and layers of selection before finally acquiring the inheritance. The tomb boat roamed the entire way, sometimes even deliberately diving into dangerous places, like occasionally charging into the lava sea, occasionally charging into the storm. Some storms in the depths of the inner region could even rip apart the pinnacle of palaces. However, Luo Feng relied on the tomb boat and dared to do so, as he was very clear on the tomb boat's power. Plus, he had a detailed map of the universe boat. Hence, he randomly entered and forced the strongest warriors of the universe to give up. Damn! Amidst the endless black whirlwind, a palace floated. Within, the 5 true lords of the God-Eyed clan roared as they watched the tomb boat leave. Flee, flee, flee. Even the calm first true lord couldn't help but raged. Give up. We'll give up. There's no point in chasing. I don't believe this human Luo Feng will always be hiding within the tomb boat. The path of the strong requires life and death training. I've never heard of a strong warrior hiding and not fighting, yet training to become the strongest in the universe. Right? For him to become the strongest in the universe, he has to do it in this reincarnation era. to train in life and death training. He's obtained the Duandong River inheritance. To truly train, he'll probably have to fight against the strongest in the universe, or risk his life in the 3 great danger zones. Unless he doesn't become the strongest in the universe, he'll definitely have to train in life and death situations. There'll be plenty of opportunities in the future. When the various races gave up unwillingly. Virtual universe, an independent plane before the huge axe shrine. The various races still gave up in the end, The huge axe creator laughed loudly. This Luo Feng is indeed confident. When I told him before about the dangers of the outside world, I even instructed him to inform us before the inheritance ends. I'll personally protect him. Who would have thought he wouldn't even say a word and just rode the tomb boat out? The tomb boat is indeed extraordinary. The primal Chaos City leader nodded and praised. Suddenly, a silhouette appeared. Luo Feng. The primal Chaos City leader was overjoyed. The huge axe creator stood up to welcome him. Teacher, huge axe creator, I have some good news to tell you. Luo Feng smiled. To be continued. If you like this work, please come to Chidian. Come to vote for me. Your support is my greatest motivation. Chapter 1284. The creator of the huge axe was one of the strongest warriors in the universe, other than the 2 primogenitors. The primal Chaos City leader was even more calm and steady. The inheritance of Duandong River had already made the 2 of them excited. And this Luo Feng's sudden appearance and trade with the East Emperor's sacred land had also shocked them. 10 absolute treasures. The primal Chaos City leader couldn't help but say, no matter how strong one is, it's impossible to acquire 10 treasures. Till now, no one has relied on themselves to acquire 10 treasures. Even the primogenitors found it hard to do so. After all, the strongest of the universe rely on their treasures. Even the primogenitors didn't have the confidence to kill them, especially those hiding in palaces. Against any warrior of the universe it's considered safe. At least to rely on killing to acquire the treasures isn't realistic at all. Huge Axe nodded, looking at Luo Feng, his face full of praise and respect. Luo Feng, you've created a new record. Powerful. The primal Chaos City leader, too, felt his blood boil. Luo Feng said, it's not that I'm powerful, it's the inheritance of Duandong River that's powerful. Indeed, if the strongest of the universe were to hide in a palace-type treasure, no one would be able to break through. Even the primogenitors wouldn't be able to do so. Only the 3 great danger zones and other special environments or ancient civilizations would be able to make them fall. Fortunately, palace-type supreme treasures were extremely rare to begin with. Hence, the primogenitors had that kind of power, and it's not as exaggerated as 10. Luo Feng explained that East Emperor ancestor isn't that stupid. Even for the East Emperor's sacred land, taking out 10 treasures would be a huge burden. He wouldn't give them to me without even seeing the inheritance. All right, Giant Axe laughed heartily. Just the mortgage for the first transaction alone is 2 supreme treasures, one of which is a palace-type supreme treasure. With these 2 treasures in hand, my human race's confidence will naturally be different. Although I am strong, if I were to be besieged, it would still be very troublesome. Let's not talk about anything else. I'll take this palace-type supreme treasure first. With it and my divine axe, I'll truly have nothing to fear. I won't be afraid, even if I'm besieged. I'll dare to fight against 10 or more of the strongest people in the universe. Luo Feng laughed involuntarily. The creator of Huge Axe was truly, I am indeed in urgent need of this palace's supreme treasure. Giant Axe said directly, regardless of whether it's the cultivation experience from the ancient civilization or this supreme treasure, your contributions to the race are limitless. This palace-type supreme treasure is what I owe you. I originally wanted to give it to the clan. Luo Feng said he already had a star pagoda. Why specifically? It was precisely for Giant Axe. Wandering in the cosmic sea, he could deeply feel the cruelty of the competition between the powers. When alien races met, the better ones would kill each other for treasures, but the worse ones would kill each other even if there were no treasures to tempt them. However, the more powerful a faction was, the less people would dare to provoke it. If one's own race had a number one expert in the cosmic sea, their confidence would naturally be different. When other races saw a human expert, they would first think of giant acts, and they would not dare to act recklessly. This was the pillar of the race. There are two absolute treasures this time. One is mine, and one is yours. Huge Axe looked at Luo Feng. No, the other one belongs to teacher. Luo Feng looked at the Primal Chaos City leader. Me? The Primal Chaos City leader was slightly stunned. Huge Axe was the pillar of the human race. Giving him an absolute treasure was the greatest benefit to the race. Also, Huge Axe's contributions to the human race were huge, hence it could be said that it was natural, everyone could calmly accept it. And Luo Feng's contributions were similarly huge, and the absolute treasures were obtained by him, and he had obtained the inheritance of the Duandong River. His future was limitless, hence giving him the other one. No one had any objections. But to the Primal Chaos City leader? Luo Feng, take this. The Primal Chaos City leader emphasized, this is an absolute treasure. Right, take it. Huge Axe emphasized, we can't always make you pay and not gain anything. Teacher, I've obtained the inheritance of the Duandong River. Do you think the inheritors of the Duandong River wouldn't prepare any weapons? Luo Feng mocked. The moment those words were spoken, the creator of the Huge Axe and Primal Chaos City leader exchanged glances. Right, those words made sense. The Duandong River inheritance indeed had a high chance of preparing a suitable weapon for the inheritor. And the weapon's power would definitely not be low. Absolute treasure? The creator asked excitedly. Luo Feng nodded. The classification of weapons in the universe, C, was very clear. As long as it was a treasure with techniques that could reach the universe's strongest level and above, it would all be considered an absolute treasure. The absolute treasures were the highest ranking in the universe C, because even the most heaven-defying treasures, like those that far surpass the strongest in the universe, would find it hard to unleash their full power. Hence the Blade Embryo, Killer Wu Wings, etc., in the Universe C classification were still absolute treasures. This won't do. The Primal Chaos City leader shook his head. This opportunity is hard to come by. So what if a warrior has two absolute treasures? It's much safer once you've obtained the inheritance. I believe rushing into the universe's strongest wouldn't be a problem. It's just a matter of time. Teacher, this absolute treasure will be mine, after which I'll pass it to you. Luo Feng laughed. The Primal Chaos City leader was stunned. Then it settled. Luo Feng stood up. I still have to leave the universe boat. It'll take close to 1,000 years. No rush, no rush. Shua. Luo Feng vanished just like that. The Primal Chaos City leader and the creator exchanged glances. Look, the creator exclaimed, back then, who was worried that this Luo Feng who rose as quickly as the Flame Emperor would also be extremely selfish. An extremely selfish and talented powerhouse would only be harmful to the race. However, the truth, Luo Feng is indeed unbelievable, much stronger than the Flame Emperor. His encounters are even more mysterious. However, compared to the majority of the universe lords of our human race, he's much better. The Primal Chaos City leader nodded. The strong would consider themselves. This was very normal. However, the choice made at the crucial moment could explain some problems. Luo Feng actually decided to give the second absolute treasure to the Primal Chaos City leader. This indeed made the Primal Chaos City leader very touched. The tomb boat had already shrunk to the size of a walnut. Within the vast universe boat, it was traversing the dangerous areas, naturally heading outwards. The moment it entered the teleportation area, it could still teleport a large distance, constantly rushing outwards. Even so, it would probably take close to 1,000 years before it could leave. My teacher has been extremely kind to me, and once I leave the universe boat, I'll be able to get that white wing very quickly. The reason why I got this white wing was actually because of the Wu Yu E that my teacher gave me back then. Just for that, I have to give him an absolute treasure. Luo Feng thought. Wu Yu E, a total of 6 pairs of wings. It was a mechanical treasure. Especially after going through the energy transformation, the attacks it unleashed would be extremely strong. This mechanical treasure normally allowed warriors to fight beyond their level. Hence, it was a very popular path in the ancient civilization, almost on par with close combat. However, the closer one got to the pinnacle, the harder it was to progress in the mechanical path. Because the closer one got to the pinnacle, the requirements for the mechanical treasures would get more stringent. Don't even talk about fighting beyond levels. Even creating a mechanical treasure that was on par with one's own was extremely hard. Of course, in the ancient civilization, Luo Feng's current level was considered normal. Hence, killing Wu Yu was extremely beneficial to him. It's a pity, including the white wing, I've only gotten 3 pairs. Luo Feng thought. Where are the other 3 pairs? Over the countless years, the Wu Yu has broken apart, the white wing has been damaged, the other 5 pairs too have been seriously damaged, their power greatly reduced. The last pair of wings only has the power of a normal treasure. If it were to be obtained by a universe lord or the strongest warrior of the universe, they would usually just casually throw it in a treasure trove or give it to a knight. Luo Feng thought. Just like the primal Chaos City leader, he threw it to Luo Feng. The second was also from Tian Tai the Knight. If it was really thrown in a treasure trove or on a knight in a small universe, then Luo Feng would have no other way. It all depends on luck. Luo Feng could only say that 6 pairs of wings, the white wing is the sharpest and strongest, and the most important energy is there too. Even if I don't get the other 3 pairs, it's nothing. Luo Feng consoled himself. Leaving the universe boat required close to 1,000 years. Luo Feng continued to study annihilation and East Flower. Even with 10,000 times time acceleration, up till now, he had only just comprehended the first scroll of East Flower and Annihilation. These 2 absolute arts were extremely difficult. Luo Feng only knew how to do the first scroll, but he didn't understand its mysteries. In the blink of an eye, close to 1,000 years had passed. In the vast and silent universe boat, in one of the holes, so a blood-colored pagoda flashed and disappeared. After a few teleportations, it rushed straight into the vast chaos energy flow. Ha! Finally a universe boat. It was easy. The journey took so long. Within the blood pagoda, Luo Feng laughed happily. This blood pagoda was a transformation of the star pagoda. Ever since he had shaken off the strongest warriors of the universe, after flying for over 100 years, he changed the tomb boat to the star pagoda. As the tomb boat couldn't change its appearance, and it was too conspicuous, the moment it was discovered by the strong, they would quickly leave. Luo Feng was within the tomb boat. Hence the star pagoda had a new appearance, a blood-colored 3-level pagoda. I've waited for so long, I'm finally out of the universe boat. Luo Feng was high-spirited within the star pagoda, looking at the endless chaos energy flow. For such a long time, I didn't dare to continue my origin law training, afraid that I would accidentally become a universe lord and wouldn't be able to recognize my white wings. Training and comprehension was very difficult. Comprehending the heart of the beast god, with such a high-level technique, he was destined to become a universe lord very easily. Either he would easily break through, or he would be stuck at the threshold for a period of time, just like how he was stuck at the threshold for a period of time. However, without a doubt, even if he was stuck, he wouldn't be stuck for long. The main thing was that Luo Feng's accumulations were too deep. Before returning to the primal universe, I'll first go to the peak world and keep the white wings. Let's go. Peak world. Wing space. Luo Feng controlled the star pagoda and began to teleport forward in the endless chaos energy flow. Monday. It was Monday again. Tomato requesting for recommendation votes. Everyone has a recommendation vote. To be continued. If you like this work, you're welcome to come to Chidian. Come and vote. Your support is my greatest motivation. Chapter 1285. From a universe boat to the pinnacle world was extremely far. However, through teleportation and a natural wormhole, the time spent wasn't even a fraction of the time spent in the universe boat. Hua! Pinnacle World, the endless water body, was crashing about. Above it floated a walnut-sized blood-colored pagoda. I've arrived at the Pinnacle World. Golden-horned beast Luo Feng gazed below from within the star pagoda. It's only been tens of thousands of years since I last came here. Only tens of thousands of years. This white wing probably hasn't found its master yet. His Sherwu wing had already birthed a spirit. The white wing, too, had a spirit. If the two were to combine, Sherwu and the white wing spirit could only survive. And with Luo Feng's approval, there was no doubt Sherwu would survive and the white wing spirit would perish. Hence, when Luo Feng left the last time, the white wing spirit went into a frenzy, wanting to find a new master. Who knows how many eras have passed, and it still hasn't found a master. It's only been tens of thousands of years. I don't believe the meat that's already in my mouth can still fly away. Luo Feng smiled. Shua, the blood-colored pagoda teleported straight into the water body. Within the water body, it continued to teleport. Back when he first came here, he was extremely careful. However, now that he had the treasure, Luo Feng tyrannically teleported straight into the deep cave. Following the deep cave, passing through 9 layers of light, the blood-colored pagoda entered the wing space. Rumble, endless blade storms engulfed the entire space. The blood-colored pagoda shrunk to the size of a speck of dust, swiftly heading towards the glaring, huge wings of light. After spending close to a month, finally reaching the entrance of the cave, it reached the huge wings of light. White wings. Golden-horned Luo Feng immediately saw the core of the incomparably huge wings of light. A white wing that was about 100 m tall. On it were scratches and bloodstains. The blood-colored pagoda got closer and closer. The bloodstains on the white wing emanated a willpower attack. To the current Luo Feng, it was like a small wave slapping against his feet. He didn't feel anything at all. Wong. A ripple spread from the white wing, passing through the star pagoda and reaching Luo Feng. Space Beast. An ancient voice resounded. Who are you? Within the blood-colored pagoda, the golden-horned beast was shocked as it spoke. I am the spirit of the winged treasure, the ancient voice said. The golden-horned beast was shocked. The spirit of the treasure? Then what's with the willpower attack and the blade-shaped storm just now? The ancient voice continued. Luo Feng snickered within. This time, in order to retrieve the white wings and to avoid any accidents, the tomb boat was temporarily separated from the Star Tower when they arrived at the periphery of the Fallen Peak world. The tomb boat was hidden in the chaotic airflow outside the Fallen Peak world. His earthling body and Wu Yu were both left there, and the Golden Horn Beast was riding the Star Pagoda to retrieve the white wings. Because Luo Feng was very clear that once the two treasures fuse, the spirit of the white wing will definitely be destroyed. So once the spirit of the white wing discovers Luo Feng's arrival, it'll probably go crazy before Luo Feng can recognize it as its master. It might even do something like mutual destruction. Even though the white wing is an object and not a living being, it shouldn't have any tricks up its sleeves. Just in case, let the Golden Horn Beast go. The white wings only knew that he was a human, but did not know that he had the Golden Horn Beast. Once it succeeds, it'll be too late for regrets. Luo Feng thought. The Golden Horned Beast acted as though it had discovered an extremely powerful treasure. It was arguing with the spirit of the White Wing. The spirit of the White Wing was obviously in a rush to recognize it as its master. Hence it didn't lie to Luo Feng like before. Instead, it directly told the Golden Horned Beast the requirements. My strength surpasses your imagination. It's because I'm extremely strong. Hence the requirements are very strict. A knight must have the willpower of the strongest warrior in the universe. If it's a universe lord, one must have willpower that surpasses the strongest warrior in the universe. If you can't reach it, you can go tell your race and get someone who meets the requirements to come. I've been lonely for far too long. I really want to go out. The White Wing thought of ways to entice the Golden Horn Beast. Luo Feng couldn't help but sigh. My God, it was so easy to talk to. Back when he came, the white wing was extremely vicious. Now that he was under the threat of destruction, it was rare to find a life form that entered. It even encouraged him to tell his race. Howl, is what you said true? Of course it's true. Howl, the golden horned beast, was obviously very excited, roaring loudly. This is simply too good. I was able to easily come here and resist that willpower attack. It's because my willpower has reached the strongest level in the universe. And I'm actually also a universe knight. I fit the requirements. The white-winged spirit was naturally extremely excited and happy. It was most afraid of being absorbed by Luo Feng. If that happened, it would mean it would be destroyed. Even though the conversation with the golden horned beast was still calm, guiding it step by step, in truth the ownership process was very smooth. Right, imprint your God energy on the wing. Imprint your life energy on it. That's when it recognizes you as its owner. The white wing was extremely cooperative. It was in a rush to leave the wing space. It was still thinking of telling its new owner a certain human had another part of this absolute treasure. When the time comes, it would let its new owner use it to kill that human. After that, and swallow the spirit of the Slayer Wu Wing. I'm the true spirit of the winged treasure. Damn that bastard. He actually stole so much energy. It has to be destroyed. The white-winged spirit naturally hated the Slayer Wu spirit. This was instinct. Success. The golden-horned beast let out a low roar. Master, my wing is damaged. I need to swallow some precious materials to repair it, or swallow some top treasures to repair it. The white-winged spirit explained. Because it kept the white wing. The blade storm within the feather space naturally disappeared, causing the entire feather space to become ordinary. The space was also very stable, and one could easily teleport. Shwa. With a teleport, the blood-colored pagoda arrived at the entrance. We're finally out. The legendary universe, ocean. The white-winged spirit was filled with anticipation. However, when the blood-red pagoda teleported away from the pinnacle realm and entered the depths of the dense chaotic currents, a tomb both the size of a walnut easily approached it and was sucked in with a whoosh. Within the star pagoda, the golden horned beast sat there. I feel a summoning, a strong summoning. Master, it's that human, the one with the parts. The white-winged spirit felt an incomparably strong summoning and immediately began to remind him. I was originally a powerful treasure with endless power. After that battle, I disintegrated, and that human obtained other parts of me. The summoning feeling is very strong, and he is nearby. Beside the golden-horned beast, a walnut-sized tomb boat appeared, and a human silhouette walked out of it. He, silver armor and silver wings, carrying a stone blade on his back. White-winged spirit. Luo Feng looked at the white wings on the back of the golden-horned beast. You. The white-winged spirit immediately understood. It could feel that absolute obedience. As long as this human willed it, it would have no choice but to do it. If I knew earlier, I wouldn't have left you even if I used up all my energy. Damn human. The white-winged spirit roared. It too understood that it had to be destroyed. I was afraid of accidents, hence I let you be happy. Luo Feng said indifferently. All right, you can be destroyed. Actually, Luo Feng only needed a thought to destroy the white-winged spirit. However, to learn more, it was better to let the Slayer Wu spirit devour it. Absorb. Luo Feng used his divine energy to control. Hua. A pair of white wings and 4 silver wings simultaneously floated in midair. Then, they began to fuse with each other. Even this source, which contained a monstrous amount of power, was transferred from the damaged white wings to the bottom pair of silver wings. After all, the silver wings were complete. At the very least, there was no need to worry about the source leaking out. As they merged, waves of pressure uncontrollably spread out. What a strong pressure. Luo Feng held his breath. This mechanical treasure should be one that surpasses the strongest warriors in the universe. Using a mechanical treasure. From Luo Feng's observation, the countless parts merging together, the engravings recombining, was extremely complicated. It seemed very long, but in reality it was extremely short. The pressure retracted. A huge silver-white 6 wings floated in midair. The bottom 4 wings were extremely intact, while the top wings' edges were extremely sharp, and the edges of the wings were infused with engravings, almost as though they strengthened the sharpness. According to what the Slayer Wu spirit said, the complete Slayer Wu wings had a total of 6 pairs. The other 5 were like the back of the blade, the body of the blade, and the white wings were like the blade. One could see how sharp they were. Come! Luo Feng's thoughts moved. The 6 wings immediately flew over and swiftly entered his back. The 6 wings spread out. Hua! The 6 wings flashed. Without using any god energy, just a casual swipe immediately caused the space in the control room to be sliced apart. It was extremely easy. Even without using the energy, it's comparable to an absolute treasure. Luo Feng exclaimed, "My Nirvana rebirth unleashed with it. Its power is probably only below my blood shadow blade. If I use the energy, it's a pity. The energy, I can't use it for now." The energy was similar to an engine, and it had the ability to store energy. When a strong warrior used the 6 pairs of wings, his god energy should be infused into the energy source. From there, it would transform into an even sharper and more offensive energy. Blade tornado energy. This energy could be stored within the energy source. During a real battle, he could first use the stored energy and then use his god energy to transform it. However, the energy stored within the energy source belonged to the previous master, and not Luo Feng's. If Luo Feng used his god energy to enter the energy source, he could also transform it into blade tornado energy. However, the level would obviously be much lower. And the moment he used it, he would have to force the previous master's energy to explode, because 2 different levels of energy couldn't be stored in one place. The moment he used it, it was a one-time explosion. Luo Feng couldn't unleash 10%, 30%. It was impossible. The only way he could use it was to infuse his god energy, forcing the previous master's energy to explode. With only this method, naturally the moment he used it, it would be a one-time explosion. Of course, if he used it all at once, the attack power would be incomparably terrifying. However, it was a one-time use. Naturally, Luo Feng didn't dare use the energy source now. He could only use his god energy to activate the Wu killer wings, causing them to be like a normal absolute treasure. Recommendation votes? Everyone's recommendation votes? Voting took up a bit of everyone's time, but it was the biggest support for Tomato. If it's convenient, I hope everyone votes for Tomato. Asterisk, to be continued. If you like this work, please come Chidian. Come to vote for me. Your support is my greatest motivation. Chapter 1286. The source. Luo Feng couldn't bear to use it so easily. Regarding the source, Luo Feng had 2 ideas. One was that when he obtains the other 3 complete wings, he could absorb the energy stored in the source to recover. Just like before, when Shi Wu's wings recovered from the damage and swallowed large amounts of energy. After all, this level of treasure, even though mechanical treasures could automatically recover, it required energy. And at his level, the energy level was too low. He couldn't recover treasures on the same level as Shi Wu's wings. That was one idea. The other was his trump card. Any blade energy was more terrifying than the strongest warrior's attack in the universe. It could even shatter a top-level palace treasure. And in an instant, trillions of blade energy, and it wasn't released randomly, but through the edges of the white wings, even the strongest treasures would be shattered. The strongest warrior in the universe would definitely die. Of course, this move could only be used once. I'll try my best to find the other 3 wings and absorb the energy to recover. The remaining blade energy will be enough to attack. Luo Feng thought. Actually, the energy within the source was huge to kill the strongest warrior in the universe. He only needed a little. It was just that he couldn't use it effectively. He could only use it once. The blood-colored pagoda left leaning peak world and headed towards the primal universe. Master, the wings are damaged. When a master instills his god energy, the god energy that passes through these damaged areas will have a huge impact. It will also have a huge impact on one's strength. Wu emitted a ripple. Hence, I have to swallow some precious materials. Normally, only the main materials for the pinnacle treasures can reach this level. Directly swallowing the pinnacle treasures is also possible. However, the price is too high. And more importantly, there's still 3 god bloodstains on the white wings. These 3 bloodstains have a huge impact. However, right now, the 3 wings have fused. Getting rid of them is still easy. If I can completely repair the 6th wing, then getting rid of them will be even faster. On the way back to the primal universe, Wu's wings often talked about this. After all the damaged and needing to suppress the god bloodstains, naturally, it wanted to get rid of them earlier. I'll gather the materials when I return. However, right now, the materials I have with me are too little. Luo Feng communicated with Wu. He did have some treasures. Because of the battle for the inheritance, a large number of experts were killed in the end. However, because the experts of the various forces who took the initiative to withdraw before receiving the basic inheritance, they all took the supreme treasures, peak-grade supreme treasures, and many other important supreme treasures and left. Because every expert had seen the death of the 2 true lord ranks of the Holy-Eyed race, they understood that even the strongest treasure palaces could not protect them. They also knew that only one of them could survive if they accepted the inheritance. Almost everyone accepted the inheritance empty-handed. However, there were the powerhouses who had fallen in battle with the monster, Quillo, the universe lord who had already killed Undyings in the Emperor Shigame. Also, a large number of experts from the Holy-Eyed race were killed. Finally, 2 supreme treasures and 1 precious treasure were given to the lightning-clothed fiend Celestial by Duan Dong River. However, the other treasures of the 2 true lords and the 10 universe lord treasures were all within the tomb boat. Naturally, they became Luo Feng's. Therefore, Luo Feng's true greatest gain was the killing of the god-eyed clan warrior. Other than the 3 treasures, there were many other treasures. It's just that they came to accept the inheritance and were prepared to die. Hence, they didn't bring many treasures. Luo Feng sighed within. Adding them all up, the pinnacle domain, palace, and soul treasures, there's only a total of 3. Normal pinnacle treasures, pinnacle domain, and palace treasures. There's only a total of 12 treasures of this level. As for those below, they're not even worth mentioning. They don't even have the right to be swallowed by Wu's wings. These treasures were probably equivalent to the entire fortune of the strongest warrior in the universe, excluding the absolute treasures. One could only say that those who accepted the inheritance brought very few treasures, unless the 7th true lord tried to borrow the Ice Cliff Castle to protect himself. Master! Wu's ripples resounded. Luo Feng listened. This 6th pair of wings originally had 4 bloodstains. Over the long years, one of the bloodstains has been expelled, forming a drop of god blood. Wu said, God blood. Luo Feng was shocked, as the 6th pair of wings was damaged. Along with the bloodstain's influence, the infusion of god energy would be greatly affected. He didn't truly inspect the 6th pair of wings. There were a total of 6 complete pairs of wings. Before, Luo Feng only acquired the 1st and 2nd pair. The white wing was the 6th pair. He was still missing the 3rd, 4th, and 5th, these 3 pairs. God blood. It should be the blood of the previous owner's enemy. It's filled with endless power. Master, you are unable to use your god energy to envelop it. Master will first use the wings to force it out, and then use the star pagoda to absorb it. After that, you can slowly study it. Wu said. All right. Luo Feng was filled with excitement and anticipation. God blood? An absolute being that was able to damage the complete set of Wu's wings? Just the bloodstain's willpower alone was so strong. This god blood's uses were not small. Under Luo Feng's control, a crystal red drop appeared on the surface of the white wing. It was surrounded by layers of thick black colored blood. This drop of blood, once it came out, it naturally dripped down. It dripped onto the floor of the Star Tower's control room. The floor of the Star Tower's control room immediately caved in, just like a small bowl. This drop of God's blood dripped onto the small bowl. Immediately after, it started flowing on the small bowl, and formed a ball. It completely enveloped the god blood. Normal treasures are unable to withstand this god blood, Luo Feng exclaimed. At least his god energy was unable to withstand it. A strong warrior trained. Stepping into the undying level, one's body would completely transform into energy, with life imprinted on every bit of energy. And to become the strongest in the universe, one had to go back to the origin. Many bodies fused into one, transforming from energy to matter. They could also ignite their flesh and blood to battle. At the same time, the absolute being's flesh and blood had other uses. This drop of god blood contains a huge amount of energy. The willpower pressure is extremely strong. Luo Feng thought. With the current conditions of the universe C, it's hard to activate the god blood's energy. However, to make this drop of god blood into a soul attack treasure, that's not hard at all. I just need to bind the willpower within the god blood in one direction. The god blood's willpower pressure spread out in all directions. Only Universe Lord's willpower could withstand the blood. And if it were to be bound in one direction, it would be like the sun becoming a laser. Its power would instantly increase by 100 or even 1,000 times. Even the strongest warrior's willpower could barely withstand it. When the time comes, just this willpower rush alone, if used during battle, Universe Lords with weaker willpower would immediately kneel down in incomparable pain. Luo Feng smiled. Even the strongest warrior's willpower, even though he can continue battling, suddenly receiving a willpower rush, he would still be caught off guard and affected. God blood, he could activate its energy. He could use it to pollute the strongest treasures. He could use his willpower to suppress it. The first method was temporarily impossible. The second was too much of a waste of god blood. The third was the most suitable. And he just happened to have a teacher in the universe C who was the #1 in treasure making. However, these are just my thoughts. It's hard to say if it will work. I don't have the ability to make a treasure. After returning to the primal universe, I'll look for Teacher Mountain Traveler and listen to what he has to say. Luo Feng thought. Mountain Traveler was the only one who was truly proficient in this. Only he could truly utilize this drop of god blood. A drop of blood from an absolute being from the ancient civilization. To be able to attack and destroy the 6 complete pairs of wings that were even stronger than the strongest treasures. Just how strong was such a being? No wonder just one drop of blood had such power. Sure, Wu, I don't have many treasures, and there are only so many precious materials within the human race. Hence, I'll arrange for the golden-horned beast to bring you to the depths of the universe boat to retrieve the treasures left behind by Jiafanzi. Luo Feng communicated mentally. Jiafanzi is the strongest warrior in the solo universe. To attempt the reincarnation, he'll probably only bring the strongest treasures, like the other pinnacle palaces and treasures. They'll probably all be there. Who knows? The treasures he left behind might even be more than the treasures from the God-Eyed clan. All right, let's hurry. Sure, Wu couldn't wait. On the way, they began to separate. The golden-horned beast was dressed in the Calamity armor, carrying the Wu killer wings and the Star Pagoda. With the Star Pagoda, heading to the depths of the universe boat to retrieve the treasures was simple. And the Earth body was dressed in the mad demon-slaying armor, carrying the Blood Shadow Blade, bringing the tomb boat back to the primal universe. These two bodies, the golden-horned beast and the Earth body, were Luo Feng's 2 main battle bodies. The Earth body had the Blood Shadow Blade, which was even stronger. The golden-horned beast had the Wu killer wings, and within the wings was the energy source, which was Luo Feng's strongest trump card. These two were enough to dominate the universe C, meeting the strongest in the universe without fear. Very quickly, Luo Feng returned to the primal universe. The moment he did, the highest echelon of humanity naturally knew. Virtual universe, outside the huge Axe Shrine. Humanity's 19 universe lords, including Luo Feng, and the creator of the huge axe were gathered here to celebrate. Luo Feng has returned safely. Returning to the primal universe, there's no more danger. Peng Gong laughed loudly. The other reincarnation eras and the two sacred lands have no way of entering the primal universe. And even the strongest in the primal universe has a limit to how much they can unleash. With Luo Feng's current strength, he can still clash head-on, not much weaker. Everything is stable. Our human race is about to welcome a period of rapid development. The primal Chaos City leader was filled with anticipation. Right? If our human race continues to develop, we'll definitely become the strongest power in the universe C. The Void Gold Lord said directly. The highest echelons of humanity were all very happy. They were worried earlier that Luo Feng would meet with some trouble on his way back. Luckily, he returned safely. They could all see how strong the human race would be in the future. Asterisk, 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 to be continued. If you like this work, please come Yen. Come to vote for me. Your support is my greatest motivation. Chapter 1287. Outside the huge axe shrine at the long stone table, the Creator and the 19 Universe Lords gathered. We are here for two reasons. 1. To welcome Luo Feng and celebrate his safe return. The Creator's gaze swept around, his voice powerful. 2. Is to discuss humanity's rise in the universe ocean plan. Rise. Hearing these words, including Luo Feng, the primal Chaos City leader, Darkness Lord, Void Gold Lord, Desolate Mirror Lord, and others, they all held their breaths in excitement. Yes, it was time to rise. The human race could be considered a peak race in the primeval universe, but in the vast cosmic sea, they were very weak. If it was in the first or second samsara era, a race like the human race, which only had one strongest person in the universe, would not have the qualifications to stand among the peak races. The Holy-Eyed race had 7 of the strongest people in the universe. Even the peak races of the first and second reincarnation era had 3 to 5 strongest people in the universe. The only thing humanity had was the huge axe. Their individual strength was extremely strong. The other universe lords' strength, numbers, etc., were all very weak in the universe ocean. This rise in the universe ocean plan. The Creator was filled with excitement and anticipation. Milky Way leader Luo Feng will lead. Everyone else will cooperate. We must let our human race give birth to more undyings, more universe venerables, more universe lords, and even more of the strongest in the universe. Yes, yes, yes. All of them responded resoundingly. Humanity's group of universe lords were filled with anticipation for the future. They were all filled with energy. And they had also heard Luo Feng's lecture. They were very clear on how good the ancient civilization system was. It would definitely allow humanity's strength to constantly change. And Luo Feng was the one who understood the ancient civilization the most, and was also the inheritor of the Duandong River. Him being the leader was the most suitable. If someone who didn't understand the ancient civilization came, it would be a complete joke. Luo Feng. Luo Feng stood up and looked around. I will definitely give it my all. Let humanity truly dominate the universe ocean. Become the universe ocean's #1 power. Dominate the universe ocean. Including the primal Chaos City leader and the Creator, they were all shaken within, much less the other universe lords. All of them felt their blood boil. As the saying goes, a soldier who doesn't want to be a general isn't a good soldier. Of the close to 100 powers in the universe ocean, which one of them didn't want to become the universe ocean's #1? But that was all he dared to imagine. In the past, who would have had the confidence to say such words? He didn't even dare to say it. No confidence. Even when the primordial ancestor was still around, he was the only one who was strong. He had never mentioned that the human race would dare to dominate the cosmic sea and become the #1 power. After all, in terms of strength, compared to the two sacred lands, the difference was really too great. The two sacred grounds had hundreds of universe lords each, including Luo Feng. There were only 19 humans. And there were also quasi-universe lords. This was all because the sacred land universe had a limit and was unable to provide God energy for them to break through. Hence, even if the two sacred lands lost some universe lords, they would quickly be replenished. In terms of supreme treasures, the two Saint Lands had quite a few rank 6 lords of the universe. The human race was gone. Before this, even the creator of the giant axe didn't have an ultimate treasure, but fortunately, he managed to get his hands on a divine axe. In the future, we humans will produce close to 1,000 masters of the universe and dozens of the strongest experts in the universe. Even the two sacred lands are inferior to us humans. The great axe creator's voice was powerful. Regardless of how far we can go, we are all heroes of our race. Work hard, everyone, for the future of humanity. For humanity. For humanity. The universe lords all let out excited roars, their hearts trembling. Trembling because this goal was too big, so big that they didn't dare say it before. They didn't have any confidence. However, now that Luo Feng had acquired the inheritance of the Duandong River, this ancient inheritance gave them confidence. Confidence to become the number one of the universe C. Their human race would benefit from it and would undergo a complete change. After the meeting ended, the other warriors all left, leaving only the creator, Primal Chaos City leader, and Luo Feng. Luo Feng. The creator was filled with anticipation. I'll have to trouble you during this period of time. Everything is for the race. Luo Feng said. Right, for the race. Hugh Jax nodded. The reason why he only started after returning was because the inheritance and nurturing of many systems were huge. Just relying on explanations and consciousness transmission to the virtual universe was simply too slow. Secondly, to nurture the future warriors of humanity, they required many items like origin law engravings, ice mountains, etc. These were all within the inheritance space. Luo Feng had to return to bring them back. This Rise Up plan, one is to nurture our race's own strength. This requires time. The second is the absolute treasures. The creator smiled. You've just returned to the primal universe. When are you preparing to trade with the East Emperor Sacred Land? I'm preparing to stay in Primal Chaos City first. I'll settle the nurturing system and the general framework. I estimate it'll take about 10 to 15 days. When that time comes, I'll contact the East Emperor Sacred Land. Luo Feng said. Huge Axe smiled. If I knew you'd get the absolute treasures, I wouldn't have had to risk my life in Qing Feng World. I'm currently rushing back from the core area of Qing Feng World. However, the core area is extremely dangerous. I'll need some time to rush back. All right, you and your teacher, go arrange the nurturing. Hugh Jax said. Luo Feng and the Primal Chaos City leader immediately left. Primal Universe, Primal Chaos City, high up in the city leader's residence. Luo Feng and the Primal Chaos City leader stood before the railings. They could easily see the countless structures of Primal Chaos City. Luo Feng, the Rise Up plan is extremely important. The ancient inheritance must not be leaked. The Primal Chaos City leader reminded. The entire nurturing system will be controlled by you. You have to be careful not to leak it. Of course. Luo Feng smiled. As our human race grows stronger and stronger, the other races and powers will naturally guess a little. Hence, I placed the nurturing system in Primal Chaos City. This is the safest place. No warrior would dare come here. Secondly, even if a spy sees it, he won't be able to copy it. Like the 300 ice mountains I prepared. Also, according to the talent of the later generation, I'll prepare different nurturing methods. The entire nurturing system was very complicated. Other than a portion that required Luo Feng to prepare, there were many other training methods that were placed in the virtual universe. For this, Luo Feng specially placed 12 memory stones in the virtual universe core of the city leader's residence to receive the vast amounts of information from the memory stones. Virtual universe, Primal Chaos City. These are the two main nurturing systems. And those who came into contact with the secrets were either the true upper echelon of humanity or the soul slaves. And the secrets they came into contact with were just the tip of the iceberg. Only the ones in the virtual universe knew the true system. Of course, Luo Feng knew the most. Primal Universe, Milky Way, Luo Feng's Shrine. I've just returned to the primal universe. Luo Feng held his communication tag. North True Star Leader. Don't worry, the trade will proceed very quickly. Luo Feng. Quickly come to the virtual universe. The virtual universe received a mail. It was from the primal Chaos City Leader. HM? What's the rush? Luo Feng discovered that the mail from his primal Chaos City teacher was a rare blood-red mail. This meant it was extremely urgent. Schwa. Virtual Universe. Thunder Island Peak. Primal Chaos City Leader's residence. Teacher. Luo Feng appeared and saw the primal Chaos City Leader standing before him. The leader's expression was serious. The moment he saw Luo Feng, he immediately said, "Let's go to Huge Axe." There was no need to explain. Under the illumination of the endless, dark, starry sky, on this floating continent, figures appeared on the long table in front of the great Axe Shrine. Luo Feng and the primal Chaos City Leader were the first to arrive. Teacher, what's going on? Luo Feng asked. I'll tell you later. The primal Chaos City Leader said seriously. Luo Feng, however, let out a sigh of relief. From the looks of it, even though the matter was important, it was still within his control. Otherwise, his teacher wouldn't have to wait for the Universe Lords to arrive. Very quickly, the 19 Universe Lords all arrived. Hua! A silhouette appeared from thin air. Sitting in the main seat, it was the huge Axe Creator. Gentlemen, the creator of the Great Axe swept his gaze across the 19 Universe Lords. They all looked over. They had all been summoned, and they were all extremely anxious. I've met with trouble. The Creator looked at the 19 pinnacle beings of humanity, saying solemnly, I've met with trouble in the core area of the pinnacle world. During the battle with Yuan Ao Lord, the map that was leaked, it should be fake. The map is fake. Luo Feng was shocked. Back then, he personally went out, and with the help of the Ice Peak leader, he managed to get a portion of the map. It was a setup. The creator of the giant axe said solemnly. However, they probably didn't expect my strength, so they suffered a great loss. However, in the battle, I was very unlucky and fell into the dark land of the core area. Dusklands, including Luo Feng, they all revealed looks of shock and rage. Humanity's most detailed map was shared, and it was mainly given by Luo Feng. Naturally, they were very clear. The Dusklands was an extremely terrifying region in the core area of the pinnacle world. Compared to it, the Universe Boat Inner Region's Flame Ice region, God Annihilating Stream, etc. were simply child's play. One had to know that any random place in the core area was much more terrifying than the Flame Ice region. Not to mention the infamous Duskland in the core area. Its danger, even though it was terrifying, was only considered average in the core area. However, as long as one fell into the Dusklands, no one ever came out. It was a hopeless prison. Dusklands, even though the strongest of the universe fell into it, I've never heard of anyone ever coming out. The creator's gaze swept and emphasized. However, there were very few who fell into the Dusklands. The numbers don't mean anything. Secondly, I'm different from the other strongest in the universe. I'm currently trapped in the Dusklands. I can't leave for now. However, as long as I don't spread it, no one will know. I need time to slowly think of a way out. During this period, our human race has to be more low profile. The creator emphasized, the ancestor has been suppressed. I'm trapped. The human race temporarily doesn't have the strongest in the universe watching over it. This is very dangerous. We can't let this information leak out. Yes. Yes. All of them replied. Everyone was clear on the severity of the situation. Without the strongest in the universe watching over it, it would be troublesome. I'm going all out right now. I can't afford to be distracted. If there's nothing important, don't contact me. The creator said seriously, after which he vanished. In front of the huge Axe Shrine, the 19 highest beings of humanity sat at the long table. They glanced at each other, filled with worry. That was the Dusklands. Trapped in the Dusklands. If the creator was never able to return, what would they do? Without the strongest in the universe watching over it, the human race would meet with many problems. The news of the huge axe being trapped cannot be leaked. The Primal Chaos City leader said, "This news is top secret." Luo Feng and the others all nodded seriously. Suddenly, just as the Primal Chaos City leader, Darkness Lord, Luo Feng and the others were feeling anxious, suddenly, the creator's silhouette appeared once more at the long table. His eyes were filled with shock and rage. He roared, "Remember, don't come to the Dusklands, don't come." Rumble. The silhouette vanished. Hua! Luo Feng and the 19 stood up fiercely. They felt something was amiss. What's up? What did the creator encounter? Why did he vanish after just one sentence? All of them panicked. Within a few seconds, the Void Gold Lord expression was filled with fear. He said, "The huge axe's mini-universe has already begun to collapse. The huge axe has fallen. The universe is collapsing. The huge axe has fallen." They were all stunned. Luo Feng, the Primal Chaos City leader, Darkness Lord, and the others all stood there, completely stunned by this sudden news. This was bad news. It was bad news for the entire human race. Luo Feng, the Primal Chaos City leader, Darkness Lord, Void Gold Lord, Pengong Lord, Yuho Lord, Qingdong Lord, they all had looks of worry, rage, and fear in their eyes. Humanity's only remaining strongest in the universe had actually fallen. Humanity's skies had really collapsed. This chapter, The Strongest Who Fell, has ended. Tomorrow, Tomato will stop writing for a day and prepare for the next one. Naturally, there won't be a break on Saturday. The day after tomorrow, there will be a new update. ***, to be continued. If you like this work, please come come to vote for me. Your support is my greatest motivation. Chapter 1288. Battle Axe Universe was one of the two small universes owned by humanity. Because the progenitor had been suppressed long ago, the primal universe's evolution wasn't complete. There weren't many humans living in the primal universe. Most of them were absolute geniuses and experts. And the Battle Axe universe had long since evolved. There were many more normal beings living there. What's going on? The sky is cracking. Within one of the dimensions of the Battle Axe universe, the many clansmen of the Battle Axe Coliseum, as well as the many elites who had been absorbed, were all shocked and panicking. The originally calm and beautiful sky was now filled with malevolent cracks, and the heavens and earth began to collapse. Space itself began to tremble, and from time to time, spatial cracks would appear. Some unlucky humans were affected by the spatial cracks, and some lost half of their bodies, while others were completely annihilated. Rumble, huge fissures appeared on the ground. Quick, gather, don't run around alone. An emperor undying stood in mid-air, his face filled with anxiety. Following which, he teleported and kept batches of humans into his world ring. In this dimension, a total of 12 paragons, 399 Emperor Undying that could teleport, were quickly collecting the important elites of the human race, and Hong was one of them. Junior brother, the dimension is starting to collapse. Hurry and bring the elites away, then gather in the main dimension. Quick! Hong's mind was still reverberating with his senior brother, who had the highest position in this dimension, and was also the personal disciple of the creator of the Battle Axe universe, Iron Wall Paragon. Yes, Hong replied. He was also teleporting rapidly, keeping large amounts of elites into his world ring. However, Hong was anxious, worried, terrified, and in chaos. The token teacher gave me to ask for help actually became ownerless. Hong was shocked. He felt like the sky was collapsing. This was given to me by teacher. It has his life imprint, but now it's ownerless. And this small universe is teacher's small universe. Now that the entire universe is starting to collapse, could it be teacher has really fallen? Hong was anxious. He was very clear how important his teacher, the creator of the Battle Axe universe, was to the human race. He was the strongest human in the universe. He was the true pillar of the human race. But now, this pillar that supported the heavens was broken and collapsed. They fled in panic. Hong, and the others had just collected the most important human elites into their world rings. Many of the less important family members were only halfway through when the order arrived. Hurry to the main space. If you delay any longer, you won't be able to leave. Hurry, hurry, hurry. Everything, everything. Quick, give an order. The universe paragons, entitled emperors, and undying looked at the collapsing humans unwillingly. Those humans were shouting, "Save us! Save us, the Novantians! Take us with you! Take my child, take her with you!" But amidst the cries of despair, the titled, undying, and universe paragons didn't dare to hesitate at all, because their world rings contained the important elites of the Battle-Axe Colosseum lineage. If they hesitated, the elites they brought along in themselves would probably never be able to leave. Shwa, shwa, shwa. In the collapsing space, Hong and the others escaped one after another and arrived at the main space. A few seconds later, the collapse extended to the teleportation channel. Upon entering the main space, Hong and the others saw three majestic silhouettes. It was the Master of Void Gold, Master of Mist Hidden, and the Ancestor Tree Paragon. Quick, quick! The Master of Void Gold and Master of Mist Hidden were both universe lords of the Battle-Axe Colosseum. The Ancestor Tree Paragon was also a top universe overlord. Even if the small universe collapsed and the primal chaos energy from the universe sea seeped in, they could still survive. But many universe paragons and undyings couldn't survive in the environment of the universe sea. Enter. Everyone gather. The Master of Void Gold ordered loudly. At the same time, he teleported again and again, collecting the titled undyings and universe paragons. Hong and the others had just arrived in the main space and were quickly collected by the Master of Void Gold into his world ring. They felt the world change. The scenery before them changed, and everything returned to normal. On the vast plains, there stood a human, either an undying or an emperor or a universe paragon. 1,000 of them were gathered here, but their eyes were filled with fear and disbelief. Obviously, they hadn't recovered from the shock yet. Junior brother, Iron Wall Paragon stood at the side, looking at Hong and transmitting, "The item teacher gave you. Have there been any changes?" Hong nodded. "It's an ownerless item. Yours too." Iron Wall Paragon's expression was ugly. "Don't tell me teacher really. Teacher is so strong. He's the strongest in the universe. The various spaces of the mini-universe, including the main space, are starting to crumble." Hong's face was ashen. "Teacher," and the crumbling huge axe within the main space of the mini-universe. The Master of Void Gold, the Master of Mist Hidden, and the Ancestor Tree Paragon stood in midair. In the distance, the membrane of the mini-universe had already started to crack. The primal chaos energy from the universe sea had started to seep in. This was the purest energy, unlike the primal chaos energy in the primal universe. "Quick, let's go to the other spaces and see if we can save more people." The Master of Void Gold ordered. "Yes, let's go." The three of them immediately split up, teleporting to different spaces. Due to the urgency of the situation, when they gave the order, they first saved the elites. These elites were the elites picked from the primal universe and brought here to be nurtured. They had huge potential, hence they saved them first before saving the other families. These families were all the families of the huge Axe Colosseum's universe lords, or of the Paragon's families. Rumble. The entire enormous continent that was 100 billion kilometers in diameter began to split apart and collapse. Enormous spatial shards began to break apart, and within these spatial shards were some continents. There were even some humans struggling on these continents. When they saw the towering Lord of Void Gold appear, they were instantly incomparably excited. The Master of Void Gold teleported forward, charging into the many shards and saving batches of people. Virtual universe, independent plane. On the two sides of the long table in front of the huge axe shrine, many universe lords sat down. All of them had a solemn expression. Every universe lord could feel the formless and terrifying pressure. "Void Gold, How's the situation in the huge Axe universe? The Primal Chaos City Master asked. The Master of Void Gold sighed. We only managed to protect the Undyings, the Paragons, and the important batch of geniuses and elites. As for the large amount of humans, the trillions of humans from the various families, we only managed to protect a portion of them. Me, Mist Hidden, and the Ancestor Tree Paragon are still saving them. We should still be able to save them. However, that's just a small batch. As long as we can save the elites, that's good. The Primal Chaos City Master nodded. The huge Axe universe is beginning to crumble. Hence, the deaths of these few humans are just a very small loss to the entire human race. However, if we don't handle it well, the losses in the future will be tens of thousands of times, hundreds of millions of times. Luo Feng and the others were all trembling. Right? In the future, what would they do? Without a doubt, huge Axe's fall will have a catastrophic effect on our human race. The Primal Chaos City Master said solemnly. The map back then was fake. Just who set it up, and why huge Axe fell so quickly in the Dusky Land. These are all mysteries. I know, everyone wants to understand, even to take revenge for huge Axe. However, for the human race, all of this has to be thrown to the back of our minds. Finding the culprit and taking revenge is a matter for the future. Does everyone understand? The Primal Chaos City Master looked at the Universe Lords present. Understood. Right now, the most important thing is the fate of humanity. Even though we want to understand, we don't have enough power right now. Even if we find out it's the strongest of the universe, we can't do anything about it. The Universe Lords all nodded. They were the highest echelons of humanity. Before, with the creator of huge Axe above them, shielding them from the wind and rain, many things were easy. However, now that the creator had fallen, there was no one above them anymore. They could only rely on the 19 Universe Lords to deal with it. Hence, they had to think from the perspective of the entire human race. The Primal Chaos City Master saw this and let out a sigh of relief. At such a crucial time, unity was very important. Huge Axe's fall. The Primal Chaos City Master emphasized the collapse of the small universe. Many within the human race know about this. The other races like the Bug Clan, Automaton Clan, Demon Clan, etc. all have spies within our race. I believe it won't be long before they find out about this. What's more, in the Cosmic Sea, the warriors roam about there. I'm afraid they'll quickly find out that the huge Axe small universe has already begun to collapse. HM. They all nodded seriously. They all understood. The human race was so huge, some spies were purely soul-controlled, not to mention the fact that they couldn't completely isolate the news. Just speaking of the Cosmic Sea, the huge Axe small universe had begun to collapse. It wouldn't be long before the Universe Lords personally discovered it. The moment they saw it, the entire Cosmic Sea would understand the creator of the huge Axe had fallen. The strongest of the universe, their influence on the race is huge. They can control vast areas, appearing in many places in a short time, and revive the overlords of the universe. The Primal Chaos City Master emphasized, without the strongest of the universe, the race can't even defend themselves well. The important territories our human race occupies. How could the other races not be jealous? Bug Clan, Demon Clan, Automaton Clan, humans, the four great races were all in the best regions of the entire universe. The life forms born in these regions all had even greater potential. Just like the Mountain Traveler's barren region, it had no way to nurture life forms with potential. The logic was like that. Even though the primal universe was vast, some regions could produce more warriors, others couldn't. Hence, there was competition. The top 4 clans occupied the 4 best places. Not to mention the competition of the territories, it's never stopped throughout the countless years. The Primal Chaos City Master emphasized, just talking about Luo Feng's inheritance of the Broken East River, it was fine with Huge Axe. However, now that Huge Axe has fallen, who wouldn't covet the inheritance of the Broken East River? Hence, we have to make preparations for war. Everyone remember, when Huge Axe falls, Our human race has already been forced to enter another era, an even more dangerous era. The primal Chaos City Master emphasized. A new chapter had begun, to be continued. If you like this work, please come to vote for me. Your support is my greatest motivation. Chapter 1289. The Universe Lords present all had serious expressions on their faces. It was obvious. They couldn't hide it anymore. If the creator of the huge axe was trapped in the Dusklands, it would be fine as long as the upper echelon didn't leak it out. However, right now, the huge axe's mini-universe was collapsing. This was something they couldn't hide. A race without the strongest in the universe, yet occupying the best territory of the primal universe, also possessing the most precious inheritance in the universe C. Who wouldn't be jealous? Who wouldn't be moved? Bug Clan, Demon Clan, Automaton. Countless years had passed. Their battles with the humans had never stopped. When a huge axe was around, it was so. Now that the axe was gone, would the three pinnacle races show mercy? We are no longer the human race of the past. The primal Chaos City leaders' gaze swept. We no longer have the protection of the strongest in the universe. The severity of the situation, everyone knows. What do we do now? War will definitely erupt. The always smiling Pung worker leader no longer had a smile on his face. He said seriously, "This is for sure. And this war won't be the small skirmishes from before. It's a true race annihilation war. Hence, no matter what, we have to preserve the seeds of our race. No matter what, we have to prepare for failure." Right? They all nodded. For a war that involved the annihilation of the race, one had to prepare for failure before even fighting. We have to look after the next generation. The Master of the Void Gold said directly, especially the next generation with great potential living in the territories. Swiftly gather all the universe levels, domain lords and sector lords from the 1008 universe countries, and bring them to the primal universe. More importantly, all the undyings and knights must be brought there. These undyings are the accumulation of our human race over countless years, relying on the Milky Way leaders' ancient civilization to nurture them. Our large amounts of undyings can definitely nurture a group of universe knights, and even universe lords. Right? The undyings accumulated over countless years. We have to bring them all. They all nodded. Undyings were useless in a race annihilation war. However, they could give birth to universe knights and even universe lords. Humanity's territory is vast. The number of normal citizens is uncountable. The Void Gold Lord continued. To bring all of them away isn't realistic. And even if there is a true war, all the life planets have humans, like the Bug Clan and Automaton Clan. They won't kill the normal humans. Luo Feng nodded. This was common sense. In a race annihilation war, the super existences fought fiercely against each other. At most, they couldn't help but affect the ordinary humans, but they wouldn't deliberately slaughter them on a large scale. Because if one side slaughtered, then the other side could also slaughter. And the most normal humans, monsters, etc., as long as they released a large amount of humans from the god countries of the undyings and scattered them across the life planets, in 100 or 1,000 years, they would be able to swiftly reproduce. Therefore, as long as there were a large number of humans living in the Divine Kingdom or the World Ring as seeds, they could quickly reproduce, and it wouldn't affect the race much. The real impact was in the territory. Only with territory could humans with potential be nurtured. The most troublesome thing right now is that we are too weak. The Lord of Darkness said in a low voice, "In our race, primal chaos, Pungong, and I are considered to be at the pinnacle of the fifth order. We can fight against the strongest experts in the universe, but we can only protect ourselves. We can't even restrain the other party. If the strongest experts in the universe want to leave, they can leave quickly. They are not restricted by the laws of the universe. In the entire war, we will be at a disadvantage." "There's something I haven't said yet," the primal Chaos City Master said. All of them immediately turned to look at Chaos. "Luo Feng, you speak." The primal Chaos City Master looked at Luo Feng, causing the Darkness Lord, Void Gold Lord, Green East Lord, Yoho Lord, Dragon Travel Lord, and the others to look. I'm about to make a trade with the East Emperor Sacred Land, Luo Feng said. This matter had to be made public, and it was a crucial time now. It was a good time to raise morale. Trade? Darkness Lord, Pungong Lord, Ice Peak Leader, and the others were all curious. This trade will allow our human race to acquire 2 absolute treasures, Luo Feng said seriously, and one of them is a palace-level treasure. 2 absolute treasures? 2. Milky Way Leader, are you sure? Both are absolute treasures? Including the Calm Darkness Lord and Ice Peak Leader, they were all extremely shocked. The other universe lords all revealed looks of glee. This was truly a timely help. Before, they felt that their future was bleak. If the human race were to face any of the pinnacle races, they would be at a disadvantage, much less being surrounded. Now that they heard about the absolute treasures, they immediately calmed down. Absolute treasures, known as race protection treasures, the human race's situation would be much better. Right? Luo Feng nodded. This trade will proceed immediately. Inheritance. Darkness Lord suddenly spoke. In a moment of silence, the other universe lords looked over too. This ancient civilization was the foundation of humanity's rise. Even though they were currently in a difficult situation to give away this inheritance, they were still very unwilling. Luo Feng shook his head. Relax, I naturally won't shake the foundation of humanity. This trade was made before the huge axe incident. Naturally, I won't lose out. All right, the Primal Chaos City leader ordered. Don't waste any more time. All the universe lords in the universe C and Primal Planet, hurry and return. And our human race, whether it's the dojo, virtual universe, the other 5 branches, or the universe countries, anyway, as long as it's a human, all the undyings must be brought back to the primal universe. The highest level had only decided on a plan. As for the work and detailed plans, naturally, it was left to the universe knights and undyings. The meeting ended quickly. The universe lords swiftly left, leaving only Luo Feng and the Primal Chaos City leader. Luo Feng. The Primal Chaos City leader called out to him. Teacher. Luo Feng turned to look. You must be careful. The Primal Chaos City leader emphasized. These 2 absolute treasures are extremely important. Plus, you've acquired them from Broken East River. This way, our human race will at least have the ability to resist. As for this trade with the East Emperor's Sacred Land, we have to be quick. We have to prevent the death of the huge axe creator and the East Emperor Sacred Land from having other plans. Luo Feng nodded while thinking. Humanity was weak, almost as though the other races could bully them. The East Emperor Sacred Land might really have other plans. Relax, teacher. Luo Feng emphasized. I have the tomb boat. If they want to forcefully take it, they're dreaming. This trade, I have to be tough. I can't back off. Hurry and trade, in case there are any changes. Primal Chaos instructed. Yes, I'll contact the North True Star leader right now. Luo Feng was worried too. Before, the 2 absolute treasures were just icing on the cake for the human race, allowing them to rise up even faster. However now, the 2 absolute treasures were simply too important to humanity. Earth, Luo family's ancestral home. Luo Hai and Luo Ping. Luo Feng sat in the main seat and shouted, You 2 brothers, immediately bring all the core members of the Luo family with you. Bring them into a world with you. Also, in the name of the Ping Hai Company and other organizations, you can also bring about 1 trillion or so humans from Earth with you. Dad, this. Luo Hai and Luo Ping were curious. Humanity is about to face a calamity. Luo Feng said directly, Don't ask too much, we'll move first. Yes. Luo Ping and Luo Hai were shocked, after which they didn't dare hesitate. Calamity? Humanity? Calamity? What kind of status did their father have? He was one of the highest echelons of humanity. Since he said it was a calamity, then it was definitely true. Luo family core members? Earth picking 1 trillion humans? One had to know that through the long years of development, the Luo family's population numbered in the tens of trillions. Earth's population was even more exaggerated than the Luo family's. Hence, picking the core members, Earth's population of 1 trillion was obviously to keep the seeds. With the seeds, as long as they had over 1,000 years, they would be able to swiftly return to their previous prosperity. Luo Ping and Luo Hai rushed out and began to mobilize the Luo family's power and began to move. Luo Feng. Su Xian looked at her husband, asking, "What's wrong?" "Huge axe has fallen," Luo Feng said seriously. Su Xian's eyes stared wide. Huge axe? She was Luo Feng's wife. Naturally, she knew the structure of the highest echelons of humanity. She also knew that the strongest human in the universe was only one, the creator of Huge Axe. Huge Axe's fall? This was indeed a calamity, perhaps even more terrifying. "I'll always be on Earth, after which I'll bring you all to the primal universe," Luo Feng said. He was one of the pillars of humanity, and also the leader of the Earth's bloodline. Just in case, he would bring along the Luo family's core members and the trillions of humans from Earth. As for the ones left behind, even if there was a true war, it wouldn't be too bad for the normal humans. Unless the highest echelons suffered a crushing defeat and were forced to retreat to the primal universe, then the entire human domain would welcome a true extinction of humanity. Crushing defeat? Luo Feng didn't have the confidence to win, but he wouldn't lose to the primal universe. In the vast universe sea, a ship was teleporting forward in the chaotic airflow. Suddenly, in the distance, a broken universe that seemed to be missing half of it appeared in front of it. Within the tomb boat, Luo Feng was looking at the distant world outside. "North True Star Lord, I've arrived." Luo Feng held the communication tablet. He had made the ocean clone return to Earth to arrange everything. As for his Earth body, he naturally immediately entered the universe sea to trade with the East Emperor Sacred Land. There was no room for mistakes in this trade. The sooner the better. "Milky Way leader, our East Emperor Sacred Land has long arrived," North True Star Lord replied. "Very good." After which, the tomb boat majestically headed towards the broken little universe. To be continued. If you like this work, please come to vote for me. Your support is my greatest motivation. Chapter 1290. The Dilapidated Miniature Universe. The time it took for it to collapse was calculated in terms of the rebirth times, making it look like a sieve. Other than losing half of it, the walls of the miniature universe were filled with all sorts of large and small holes. The thickness of the chaos energy within was naturally the same as the outside world. While the tomb boat flew along a hole in the cosmic membrane, easily passing through and flying in. Within the dilapidated universe, there were still corpses and space fragments floating about. Ever since the founder of the Huge Axe fell, I immediately rushed over from the universe sea. It's been 9 days. Just 9 days, the news shouldn't have leaked out. Luo Feng was within the control hall of the tomb boat, feeling nervous within. This trade was simply too important to humanity, who was currently in a difficult situation. I hope nothing goes wrong. Please don't, Luo Feng thought. Milky Way leader, we've already discovered you. We're on our way. A message came from the communication card. Luo Feng held the card and communicated mentally. I'll wait for you here. At the same time, he scanned his surroundings. The tomb boat naturally did not pose any obstruction, and he could easily see the outside world. Very quickly, he saw a towering black polygonal sphere in the distance. That black polygonal sphere merely teleported, and with a whoosh, it was already about 10 million kilometers away from the tomb boat. Milky Way leader, give me the memory stone, and I'll give you the 2 absolute treasures. North True Star Leader said. North True Star Leader, since we've already reached this point, I believe both of us have the sincerity to trade. Let's cut the crap. Following a rumbling sound, the cabin door of the tomb boat actually opened. Luo Feng stood at the cabin door with his stone blade on his back. I'll be right here. Throw the 2 treasures over, and I'll give you the memory stone. Milky Way leader, what if you don't? Suddenly, a crack appeared on the towering black sphere, revealing a passage. The Northern True Star Lord walked out from it. With just a single step, he was already outside the cabin door of the tomb boat. One was within the cabin door. The other was in space outside the cabin door. Both looked at each other. This is a memory stone. Luo Feng held one in his right hand. Trust me and give me the two absolute treasures. Northern True Star Lord looked at Luo Feng before him. At this time, how close was he? He had the urge to strike. However, he was clear that Luo Feng's strength was already strong even before he received the inheritance. In the basic inheritance, he was able to defeat Blood Saint, Deerbug Lord, and the others to become an inheritor. He must have created a secret technique for the strongest experts in the universe, along with the core inheritance's methods. One-on-one, he probably didn't have the confidence to take down Luo Feng. What's more, Luo Feng was in the cabin. With just a thought, he could close the door. All right, the Northern True Star Lord threw out a world ring. Luo Feng waved his hand, and the fiery red ring that seemed to have flames on it landed in his palm. His god energy swiftly imprinted on it and easily entered. Within the world ring, there were two majestic absolute treasures standing in the vast wilderness. One was a black pyramid shape, and the other was a huge long rod. That's true, Luo Feng thought. Back when the rules were set, there had to be at least one palace-type absolute treasure. The East Emperor's Sacred Land didn't dare play any tricks and got this black prison pagoda. However, the other is a simple attack-type absolute treasure. I've never even heard of its existence before. It should be the East Emperor's Sacred Land's internal storage. Even though he had never seen it before, from the energy alone, it was indeed an absolute treasure. Amongst the absolute treasures, the palace type was naturally extremely precious. The attack type was obviously weaker. This world ring was specially made by the East Emperor Sacred Land's ancestor. The Northern True Star Lord smiled. The absolute treasures emit an extremely powerful pressure. Normal world rings would probably crumble under such pressure. Personally made by the ancestor, Luo Feng weighed the ring and nodded. These two absolute treasures. Do you have any other detailed information? Milky Way leader, look at that memory stone. The Northern True Star Lord smiled. Simultaneously, his eyes were staring at the memory stone in Luo Feng's other hand. No problem. Luo Feng casually threw it. Xiao. The memory stone swiftly flew over. The Northern True Star Lord extended his hand and caught it. Only then did he let out a sigh of relief. Do you have any detailed information on these two absolute treasures? Luo Feng looked at the Northern True Star Lord. These two absolute treasures. One is the Black Prison Pagoda. I'm sure Milky Way leader knows about it. The other rod is called Yanjun. As for the detailed information on them, once they acknowledge you as their owners, you'll naturally know. The Northern True Star Lord said. What are the requirements? Luo Feng asked. The requirements are just a little harsh on willpower. The Northern True Star Lord explained. Black Prison Pagoda. For a Universe Lord, one has to have the willpower of the universe's strongest. As for the Yin Jun Rod, the requirements are still considered normal. The Universe Lord has to have the pinnacle willpower of the Universe Lord. The strongest has to have the pinnacle willpower of the Universe Lord. Luo Feng nodded. From the requirements, one could actually see how precious the treasures were. Even though most of them had requirements on willpower, the requirements were different. The Black Prison Pagoda's requirements were obviously higher than the Yin Jun Rod. In killing Wu Yu, he required the Universe Lord to have the universe's strongest willpower. That was a whole level higher than the Black Prison Pagoda. As for the Star Pagoda, the Star Pagoda's requirements were even more terrifying. Sector Lords required the Universe Lord to have the pinnacle willpower of the Universe Lord to survive. As for the Undying requirements, Luo Feng wasn't too sure. Anyway, Mountain Passenger said that the Universe Lords and Universe Lords had no chance of acknowledging their owners. And the moment they failed, they would die without a doubt. The requirements were obviously even harsher than the Wu Yu Yi. Even though Luo Feng had seen many treasures and knew of many powerful treasures, there had never been a situation where the owner failed and one had to die. Hence, Luo Feng had always felt that from the strict requirements, the Star Pagoda should be even more terrifying and special. Only up till now, the Star Pagoda was still very normal. He hadn't discovered anything too special. And the power of the Wu Yu Yi was not normal. Even the incomplete Wu Yu Yi was already so strong. Of course, the Wu Yu Yi, he was a mechanic type. It was already good at explosiveness. It was a pity that he didn't want to use the most important energy source for now. If this memory stone satisfies our East Emperor Sacred Land ancestor, we'll have another transaction. The Northern True Star Lord stood in mid-air, looking at Luo Feng within the cabin door. I hope the Milky Way leader doesn't disappoint our ancestor. Relax, he definitely won't be disappointed, Luo Feng said. HM, the Northern True Star Lord smiled and nodded, following which he turned and took a step, reaching the distant polygonal black ball's entrance. After which, the entire black ball vanished. Obviously, he had teleported away. Huh. Only then did the tomb boat's cabin door close down. Luo Feng let out a sigh of relief. Everything went smoothly without any accidents. I've acquired the two powerful treasures. Luo Feng returned to the control hall. Thinking back to the Northern True Star Lord's expression, he wanted to laugh. He could tell the Northern True Star Lord actually had the urge to make a move. However, without a small universe, the Northern True Star Lord's strength was only average amongst the strongest in the universe. He didn't have the confidence to catch Luo Feng. If you make a move and rush in the tomb boat, I'll close the door and beat the dog, Luo Feng thought. No matter how strong the strongest in the universe was, the moment he entered the tomb boat, he would definitely fall. However, every race knew of the dangers within the tomb boat. Nobody would enter. Virtual Universe, Peak of Thunder Island. The primal Chaos City leader sat beside a wooden round table. Before him floated a screen. On it, large amounts of information. It was all about the recent developments of the human race. Ever since the founder of the huge axe fell, these 9 days, the primal Chaos City leader had naturally been paying attention to the developments. Right now, the entire human race was swiftly bringing large amounts of undyings into the primal universe. However, the human territory was vast. Just gathering them would take a long time. Even with the highest efficiency, using the God country teleportation, etc., not caring about the energy consumption, it would still take a long time. After all, they were too scattered. Teacher, a silhouette walked over. It was Luo Feng. The moment the primal Chaos City leader saw Luo Feng, his eyes gleamed, asking, "How did it go?" Everything went smoothly. I've acquired the powerful treasures. Luo Feng smiled. I've already recognized them. After checking, these two treasures aren't bad. Even though from the requirements, they were weaker than Wu Yu Yi. However, no matter how high the level of the treasure, it would only be considered high if it could be used. And to the strongest of the universe, a treasure with 6 levels of engravings and a treasure with 9 levels were the same. Because the extra 3 levels, the strongest of the universe had no hope of controlling them at all. One is the Black Prison Pagoda. Luo Feng smiled. Teacher, you know the characteristics of the Black Prison Pagoda. It's a true treasure. The other is called the Yanjun Rod. It's an attack-type treasure, and it can also be used as armor. Wielding the Yanjun Rod, the material of the rod would naturally extend and cover the entire body, forming armor, even though it couldn't compare to a true armor. However, it was still comparable to the level of the crazy demon destroyer armor. The Yanjun Rod relies on strength. Luo Feng explained. It uses an incomparably terrifying gravity to attack. As the god energy activates the engravings, the Yanjun Rod will become heavier and more terrifying. The primal Chaos City leader creased his eyebrows, nodding. From the looks of it, without a doubt, the Black Prison Pagoda suits your senior Darkness Emperor. His strength and characteristics are perfect for the Black Prison Pagoda. As for the Yanjun Rod, It suits the Pung worker leader even more. Amongst the pinnacle of our human race, only the Pung worker leader is proficient in this type of weapon. Darkness Emperor? Pung worker leader? Luo Feng was stunned. Teacher, Luo Feng said, your strength is publicly acknowledged as the #1 in our race. The moment you use it with the ultimate treasures, you'll definitely be at the pinnacle of level 6. That black prison pagoda, teacher, you should have it. And this palace's ultimate treasure. Its defense is more important, hence anyone can use it. There's no such thing as suitable or not suitable. Whether it was the primal Chaos City leader's position in the human race or Luo Feng's own feelings, he hoped that the city leader would use this black prison pagoda. He couldn't possibly. The primal universe controller primal Chaos City leader didn't even have a single ultimate treasure. And Luo Feng, the Pung worker leader, and the Darkness Emperor all had their own. To be continued. If you like this work, please come to Chidian. Come to vote for me. Your support is my greatest motivation.